Oh, good.
Okay.
as more of like a topic that we could maybe expand on.
It's just
But let me. So I'm going to be asking this question while I'm figuring out cams and stuff. But so as a GM, uh, what do you do when there's a significant other at the table, whether you're playing with them, whether they're a
Run.
player, or the
oh.
GM? Maybe this is a two-parter. The GM is GMing for the significant other. Like what are your thoughts or feelings, or how to deal with that? Also, how to deal with maybe a GM that is flubbing roles, or even players who are defending the other players, which happen to be the significant other. So yeah,
I see.
That's
So
ju-
sort of
ju-
like the personal conflicts
Yeah.
getting into the game. Okay, sure.
I'm gonna call your bluff there, Cord, because as we all know, people playing D&D don't have significant knowledge.
that is not even
It's a
true.
trick
No one
question.
does that. Yeah,
But actually, I had
or
something
even if
like
like
that
to start
happen.
off, is there any problems that we've had, and then we can discuss that from there, and branch from
I
there.
actually had a really interesting. It is probably like one thing that I'll always remember as a role player. About 4 or 5 months ago, when I was just starting up D&D with like Sydney and all them. Um,
Ugh.
my buddies, I know one of the buddies, they said they had a guy who had like never played D&D before, and so it's okay, bring him over. At one point, he brought his girlfriend with him later on, and so we had a guy who didn't show up, and the girlfriend was like real southern, like real Dixie Outfitter, best way to describe it. And we kind of gave her like a character sheet of a player who wasn't there, so she could kind of go along with it. And you can see she was kind of, sort of figuring it out. Um, then later on, we talked about. I think the second time she ended up coming over, we talked. We said something like, "Well, what you can do is anytime there's a player absent, you can play their character." And she just immediately goes, "Oh no, I want to make my own." And so just like seeing her, who has never, played this game before, like that response of, "No, I want to have my own," was like that really cool moment of, boom, I've hooked somebody who has never even given
Mm,
this a thought before. And that's my 2 cents, I guess, to the topic.
sure.
It was just a really cool feeling.
Yeah,
That is
that is
very cool.
awesome.
I made a nerd out of somebody just going down that path.
Yeah, yeah.
Um. Yeah, I guess. Well, what was it? Well, I guess experiences first, and then talk about
Yeah.
problems they might have. Well, I guess previously haven't I kind of discussed it with other halves, and now I do, which is
Yeah.
great. So that's all cool. But in terms of like getting someone into it, I guess I guess just try it out. Would be my suggestion. Give it a test run, maybe just the two of you, or with some of her friends as well. Because usually it's
Yeah.
going to be you and your nerdy friends,
Yeah,
and
that's
she
true.
doesn't necessarily. She might be a bit scared of
That's
joining a
very
group
true.
of
Yeah.
nerds.
That's a good point. Yeah.
For
It,
me, it's been kind of the opposite because I met my current girlfriend gaming. But like to me,
that's
I've
cool.
dated a lot of people who
Yeah.
haven't, and it's super essential for me. I just can't be with somebody who's not going to be able to listen to me talk about Durgar for like 35 minutes. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
I
it's
just
true.
need that. Like, and that's not for everybody. Some people don't necessarily want to mix those two worlds, but like I absolutely need it, or else it's my relationship just won't work. Eventually, they'll be like, I don't understand, why can't you come to this thing? I'm like, it's because it's just for three
Yeah.
hours. I just
Yeah.
have
yeah.
to, you know what I mean? So like,
It's like, he's out playing make believe with his friends again.
No, that's very
exactly,
true.
they
I'm
don't,
actually
they don't understand. You know what I
no,
mean?
yeah. I'm actually in that part. My
Mm.
fiance doesn't play. She's played once, and I don't want to say it was a bad experience, but I mean like it was a. She is an actress, so I was like, all right, this will be fun.
You mean you were running the game? Is what you're saying?
Yep, I was running the game, and then she
That
was
was awful.
playing. Yeah, and she had a bad experience. Yeah, it's my fault. But the experience was, it's not even that bad of an experience, but it just left a bad taste in her mouth because it was her first
Sure.
experience in the game. She's playing with a real life friend of ours, both of us from school, and it was her first time playing as well. But they're both actresses, and they're both playing pretty much the same character. Like a standoffish. One was mute. One just didn't want to talk because she just
sure.
yeah. So and like one was standoffish and like an outcast, and the other one is a dark elf outcast. One happens to be an elf. The other one's a dark elf. But they met and they hated each other.
Right.
And then, as they should, that's their characters should, and they know through the lore and the history because they both are doing the research of the characters that.
Right. Yeah, they're playing well. It's just
they're playing
a bad
well.
mix.
It was just a bad mix party wise, and the story didn't go anywhere. I tried streaming it and nothing happened. We went out of the town. There was a fight, and then they started to argue, and then they started to try to at one point, my fiance just was like, "Okay, I walk away," and I'm like, "You walk away from the party?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Where are you going?" She goes, "I don't know."
Oh wow.
And I was like, "Oof. Oh, all right." So I was like, "Oh boy." So it was, and I didn't want to say no, and I just wanted to like, "Okay, yeah, you can play whatever character you want." And then I was like, "Yeah, this will be cool and interesting and conflict," but it was just too much conflict for it to work.
Right, especially for first timers.
Yeah, and for her to be like, "Nah, I don't know. I'm just gonna go away," and I was like,
It's like I should have just had him
Damn,
bust the door and
yeah.
slay the dragon.
"Yeah,
Right.
and yeah, I should have had instead
Just to
of
give them that first experience.
Exactly. So I mean, next time if there is, we'll do more of a combat-driven game rather than a story. You'll figure it out through storytelling, kind of thing. But and that's probably a good point. Yeah, to start off a new person with combat.
I mean, and even not just combat,
not even with combat, but with if there's a conflict that you sense. Then
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
like
it's a little more
to start
linear.
people off with just this is what you should expect from Dungeons and Dragons. Rather than being like, this is some great new idea I have, where it's Call of Cthulhu or whatever. I like to do one you're gonna fight some goblins underground. If they're brand new, they don't necessarily know what to expect, right? And then later when you say, okay, this is pirates, or this is Indiana Jones, or whatever the sort of spin is, then they can appreciate that more. I think if they're coming at it from nowhere, you almost have to start really basic and say, you're a dwarf fighter. Here's the situation, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of my attitude, is to start them really basic, and then they can appreciate the differences down the line.
It's like you hit things, you cast things, you heal things, and you sneak around things.
Precisely.
What about the DM who's perhaps giving his other half a particularly easy time, or
Really?
Yeah.
fluffing roles for that person?
Your death
It
roll
happens.
says a 2,
Definitely happens.
but
Yeah, conveniently.
Yeah,
Look
but
at all these
usually-
treasures you find.
it's right next to the 20. So yeah.
It's just one number away.
Yeah, so just
This Vorpal
Zero
sword
difference.
monogrammed with your character's name on it. Strange.
Yeah.
Found in the treasure hoard.
I don't know, that's hard. It's
is-
it's even as a player, how do you deal with it? First of all, you probably discuss maybe with them and be like, listen, if you're gonna do that, you gotta do that with me too, or
Right.
play fair, or else I'm just gonna have to find a new game or a new
Yeah.
gaming group.
Yeah.
Much.
It's hard to say a lot of these answers are probably going to be find another gaming group, but it's just a thing to think about when and it's a struggle that a lot of people have. They're like, yeah, okay, I think I'm ready to go play a game and go maybe through these GM or these DM taverns, okay, I think I've got this, and then let's say a couple sessions later or a couple adventures later, they finally come into this predicament of what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because I did this the other day. I ran a game for Sydney and Alexis, her friend Alexis, and I guess that was I can't. But then I guess it was more like you're kind of in a situation where you both know you're playing a game, and so what
Yeah.
happens in the game shouldn't affect your relationship. So if you kill someone in a game, well, yeah, they might be a bit upset, but they're not gonna. There's not
Right.
any real consequence to your relationship.
It's like-
Yeah.
Right?
If you die in the
For
game,
us-
you break up for real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Your character's life is our relationship's life. No, but for us, it's kind of if you were to go to where your significant other is at work, you can't just start making out and treating them differently just because, you know what I mean? Let's say you work at a restaurant and your girlfriend walks in, you can't give her a free sandwich just because she's your girlfriend. It's a job. If you're the dungeon master, you have a job, and that's to be the dungeon master, and that's to treat everyone the same way.
Yeah.
So I can't say I've ever actually encountered somebody who's really blatantly okay, well, oh, look, 40 crits or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's a sacred duty. You roll the dice and you don't flub it for anyone.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're having sex with them. You just report the dice as they land. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Quintus says, I've seen more DMs be extra hard on their significant others.
Yeah,
That's possibly the
I'm
other
kinda
side of
that
it,
way.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
I can see
If
that.
anything, I tend to skew towards punishing her a little more than I would somebody else because I know she can take it, right? Yeah.
All right, we got some questions from chat. I'm gonna keep them coming in. I'm gonna save them all in document and get to them as we get to them. So, so if you're in a group and most of them don't roleplay, is there a way to encourage it as a player, or is it mostly up to the DM? Cord.
So the question is, if you're not into roleplay, what was it?
No. If
Sorry,
if your
fixing it.
group aren't into roleplay, how can you, as a player in this group, influence and encourage them to roleplay if you're not the DM, or is it just up to the DM?
Well, if they're like, we're not a role-playing group, and they kind of stop you from doing it, then maybe find another group. Or, like I would probably just roleplay. Every game I do and I want to roleplay, I will just start roleplaying. And if people catch on, they catch on. If they don't, I'm going to be the only role player until someone tells me, all right, you tone it back a little. Then I will for the rest of the session, and then I will promptly find another session because I really like to roleplay. And if you like to roleplay too, you should be able to. If your group doesn't, that's fine. But if they don't want you to, then don't play with them because they're stopping you from having fun. But if you're trying to get other players to roleplay, they may or may not be comfortable in doing so. They're not doing it for a reason, maybe because just they don't act or they've never acted in their life. So it's like, why would they start? They could have anxiety from this and like some sort of performance anxiety. From a lot of us who like D&D, we probably started when we were young and awkward and had no social life.
Right.
And so it's just like,
Still don't.
No,
we have
do not.
24 hours on this computer. But proof is here. They're going to have probably a bit of like, there's a very good chance that they're worried and are scared to step out of that box and to become a character and put on this other hat of this character and think like they would. They probably still are thinking like they would, and they're role-playing. In their mind, they're role-playing because sometimes they're like, because their actions and how they're doing it, but just it's not as theatrical as maybe you are or as maybe you're thinking, but sometimes most people think that they're role playing and it's acceptable for them because they're just not comfortable, and it's hard to convince someone or a gaming group to be like, we should be better role players, guys, because that also could be a touchy subject for someone who may or may not like that idea.
How about just an idea? How about showing them like a recording or like a stream of a group that are really role playing?
I've done that.
Take the extreme example of some of the best. Take a look at Critical Role, show them some of that or something, and then that can really inspire people.
Really can,
to be like, this is really cool. We should do some of that, guys. And then they might be like, nah,
Right.
nah.
Yeah. It's not for
Or
them.
they might be like, yeah, we can do something. So.
Yeah, and but it like that's a good option as well. But always keep in mind that there's they could be. It could be an anxiety issue. I know somebody very close to me who plays Dungeons and Dragons, and they, for a long time, didn't roleplay, and now they are starting to actually come out of their box and really shine as a role player, which is really cool.
That's great.
Yeah, so it makes me pretty proud that I can play with them, and it's great. It's really cool. So they may just they may catch on too.
Yeah. What do you think about this point, Timothy? Like, is it just a DM's job to make?
Is it
someone
just the
go
DM's job? No, I think the DM is like the strongest like tool to encourage it. If I'm a player and I see that happening, I think one of the things you can do is you can interact with them in character, right? You can try to come up with reasons why your like character would interact with theirs. Sometimes I even out of character will be like, if someone is in a battle and they kill a monster, the player can just as easily as the DM say like, oh, how do you kill him? Or what does your spell look like? or what, you know what I mean, try to get them into the idea of visualization, or to say, oh, my character, you know, he's a dwarf, he likes to drink, that kind of thing. If you go to a bar, you can say, like, or are you going to go get drunk, or that kind of stuff. Like, as a player, in just discussing strategy and stuff with them, you can try to just get a little bit of personality out.
That's true.
Here and there.
Little, like, slight,
Yeah.
Just
like,
anything.
small questions to just get little
Yeah.
seeds of role play.
Right. And they'll
Like,
think
have
like,
your
oh, I guess I would go get drunk. Yeah, as opposed to just stand in the entry of the bar until
I
the
follow.
combat happens.
I
Yeah.
follow. I roll initiative.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I have no family, but I follow.
I have no family. Orcs killed my family. But yeah, I do think the burden falls almost entirely on the dungeon master. The players can do a little bit, but it's the DM who's got the most like power to throw things at that player and to challenge them and to push them and to try to get them to roleplay. Again, as Cord said, if that's the kind of thing that they sense they're into. So I think it's extra tricky as a PC, but I do think it's possible.
Yeah, I think possibly, if you're a player, take it out of character and say to the group is possibly, like, you know, try both of these things. Try in character little things like, you know, what do you do? Like, how, you know, how do you think about this? And then out of character being like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to do
Sure.
that?
Transparency is always good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just being upfront with, this is what I'd like to get out of the game. Are you guys on the same page with that? Yeah. As opposed to just kind of crossing your fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a lot of that actually brings up a good point. A lot of pre-game discussions is actually a good thing to do. With
Expectations.
Shared
Yes,
expectations.
because-
Yep.
Yeah, you know what they are looking for. You know what they know what you're maybe possibly expecting from them. I make that mistake a lot, and I'm learning now actually that pre-game chats about maybe where you want your adventure to go or what you'd like to see in the next adventure. Those are good things to have out of game, rather than just being like, I've got this idea, they're gonna like it,
Right.
and you hope for
Yeah.
the best. They may not, and that's why go down that road that you didn't flesh out, and which you thought would just be cool to have a fork there, and then you're like, oh, we go left, and you're like, oh shit.
God damn it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also a good GM would just copy paste and just. But anyway.
Right. Yeah.
But
Cool. So for everyone, what was your first DMing experience like? Rem.
I say it was me with a bunch of books scattered around me. Actually, no, it was with the D&D 3.5 starter kit, the one that comes with like some of the card stock maps, and you get the 4 PCs. It's like the Halfling Rogue, the Dwarven Cleric,
Yep.
the Human Fighter, Lida the Rogue. That was the name.
Lida,
Yes.
Busk, and Joven.
Tordek.
Joven.
Tordek.
Tordek,
was
Tordek,
the-
yeah, Tordek, yeah.
was the dwarf fighter. Yeah.
Todek. Cross
And
was the barbarian. I think was it Joven was the cleric, right?
Yeah. Jozan.
I think
Joven.
Jozan.
Yeah.
Jozan. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, with
Jozan.
the Z.
There was a Human Fighter, and then the like Elf Sorcerer or Wizard. And
Miley.
And it also came with like some skeleton guys,
and Hemet.
some like a dire rat, and like the ultimate battle at the end was like a young black dragon minifig. And so it was
Cool.
pretty much me like just swapping out like pallets of like that kind of terrain and stuff, while just I didn't really know what a challenge rating was, and I would go out and just every now and then buy one of those booster packs of minis, and that's what I would use. And I had no monster manual, no player's handbook, none of that, just the starter thing. But we actually had a blast. Oh yeah, I had a bunch of old Heroscape miniatures, so I would just use those and just improv stuff from that. So that was fun.
You know, that's funny.
I mean, that's Dungeons and Dragons, man. You're doing it right.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're having fun.
That reminds me, like Jozan and that. When I was a kid, I wrote like a book, like a story about this. When I must have been like
Nice.
10 or 11.
Like
as
you
well.
like fan fiction for the
Yeah,
the
somewhere on file. I'll try and find it and put it on the website at some point. There
Well,
is a
I've got
really long story written by me, all about those characters.
Oh, that's awesome. I think I did the same sort of thing, mixing 3.5 characters and Diablo 2. That's,
Oh, nice.
that tells you what
It's
time
a whole
period.
different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wild
where my brain was at the time. So it was like around, I don't know, 99 to...
Yeah.
I've got some
01.
really bad fan fiction that is still on fanfiction.net.
Nice.
And I will read it every now and then when I want to feel good about my current writing. One about Zelda and one about Dragon Ball Z.
My buddy
Uh-oh.
actually is still
Boy.
writing. My buddy Colin Will is still actually.
Oh, yes.
His novel he's writing is stemmed from a fan fiction from
Sure.
Zelda, like when he
That's a
was,
thing,
Oh.
man.
yeah. So
Nice.
he's just like, oh, this is so cool. So
What about you, Will? What was your first DMing experience like?
I think it must have been for my family. I think it probably was for my dad, my mum, and my sister when I was probably about a similar age still. Maybe a little bit older. I think it was 4th edition. I think I first ran for them. I honestly don't remember the first game. Actually, I might tell a lie. It may have been a Warhammer Fantasy roleplay session that we ran because I was big into Warhammer back in the day.
yeah, good.
So I think it was probably that, and we had a lot of fun. You know, it wasn't roleplay heavy. It wasn't. I think I wanted it to be more roleplay heavy than they wanted it to be, but we had a good time. And we ended up like sort of it being a holiday thing. We just go on holiday and like we're camping, and if it was raining or something, I'd run
that's
a
awesome.
session, and
Nice.
there's
Oh,
just
that's
some
awesome.
good family memories from those games.
Yeah. Family game night, and you're just like,
Yeah.
family game night, guys. Instead of setting up a board, you're setting up your DM screen.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes.
That's how
You're,
you
like
should
stacking
go.
sorting your dice in the same. Everybody, you're like, I want to be green, and you're like, no, we're not playing that tonight. That's awesome. I believe my first DM experience was my dad ran a hobby store growing up when I was a kid.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was awesome. He closed down probably because he had twins who both played Warhammer, so we
Oh.
took inventory. We didn't steal it. We asked him, and he's like, "All right." And then later he's like, "All right, I gotta close the shop." We're like, "Oh,
Oh no.
But anyway, we got
man.
we got this collection of Warhammer.
Nice.
So that's the good news out of the situation.
Out of your
But yeah,
father's
he had
business.
he's like he taught me how to ice skate. He taught everybody in my town how to ice skate. He's definitely a sports guy. He's a coach of football. He's a coach of tons of different sports, and he always wanted us to play sports growing up. And we'd always play for a season, and be like, whatever. And then like he'd be like, what sports you playing this year? And we're like, And then finally he was like, Cord, I want you to try something. There's a guy coming in next week. He's playing a game called Dungeons and Dragons. Have you ever heard of it? And I was like, no. What is that? And he's like, it's this cool game. But I thought he meant like this new game. So I was like, awesome, cool. And then
Right.
I went and created my character. Thought it was awesome. This is not the DM story. It's the first time I've played. Anyway, so moving ahead. So past that, I had to learn how to play D&D so I can and run it so I can sell it at my dad's store. So I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna take this book so I can read it. PHP. Dad, I'm gonna take this book so I can become a dungeon master so I can run other players through my adventures. Dungeon Master's Guide. Dad, this
Yeah.
is cool. Monster Manual. So and
I
then
need this for work.
yeah, I need this for your job that I'm gonna. Thanks for the inventory. And so it was, and we had this one guy who came in to teach us Warhammer, but he's like, here, you can take my old musky dragon magazines, and it had images in it of just like cool fan art from the 80s, so lots of boobs.
Nice.
And Drew and I would sit in like a corner of the shop. This sounds weird, but we sat in the corner of the shop and we would start DMing, and I would run him through things, but
Yeah.
instead of actually like being like painting these elaborate picture, like imaginary pictures, I would just be like, you see this, and I would just hold up like a cool photo of a dragon, or a image of a dragon, and I would
Okay.
hold up like these fold outs of like this battle of whatever, and we would interweave probably the story around what that image would be. Which slowly got our brains thinking about, all right, world, and then what is happening, and then from there I just took it and rolled with it, and I loved it because at the time I was playing Warcraft 3, and I loved the Dungeon Master,
Nice.
that like the D&D Dungeon Master create your own adventure map that they did, and I was like, this is actually really cool. And then I kind of understood what that map meant, and then
Right.
I just took it and ran with it, and I ran everybody through tons of things, probably from that point on until through college I was a dungeon master. I've rarely played until after college. I played once or twice, and then I joined Encounter, and I've been playing this whole time. But yeah, that was where I started. I had to learn it for quote unquote work.
That's a pretty.
But it was awesome. I loved it, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
It's a pretty
What about
cool
you,
origin
Tim?
story. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, mine was not nearly as exciting. I got into it in like middle school, so this would have been 3.0, and everything was just so dense and confusing.
Yeah.
I like found the
Yeah.
player's handbook, and I like
Loved the
really
look and everything. Yeah.
yeah, it looked great, and I desperately wanted to understand it, but it was just too much information. So I would like run these like really half-baked, crappy 30-minute adventures during like lunch in like middle school, like desperately trying to like grapple with these crazy rules and not really
Yeah,
understanding.
but then there's a grapple table for that though.
Sure,
yeah, there was
Yeah,
there was a
yeah.
table I could have
It's
read.
probably about free.
And it wasn't really until I went to college that I finally was able to just like browbeat people and be like, no, sit down and learn this properly with me. Like I so desperately want to be a dungeon master, and then from there it kind of took off. But yeah, I remember there were years and years of frustration as no one would really commit full time, or they would kind of half-assedly play. You know what I mean, for a session or two.
Yeah.
It just took a long time to really be like, no, this is a thing that's very important, and I want to get good at it, and I want to be consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Having that
Yeah.
adventure. Actually, be like, we're playing through this adventure, guys.
God damn
Having
it.
them want to play.
We're gonna come back next week and it's gonna be the same characters that it was last time. Like,
Like,
that's
next week, I don't know if I can
fun.
make next week. Come on.
God damn it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're ruining the fun. You're
I got
ruining all the
a,
fun
that's
we're
for me.
having.
I got a question in from P-Fart. He says, I got a question. One of our players gets overly angry when bad stuff happens to him. What to do?
Oh boy.
Oh, one of those people.
Maybe after. Oh, good. Well, Rem knows. Rem,
Oh.
do you have experience from this and want to maybe how you've?
Well, I can remember when I really started getting into the game because, like, when I played at home, you know, it's like I feel like every gamer and every kind of hobby has that moment where they go from playing at home with their buddies to where they finally move to like a bigger group of folks, either at like a more public
To the
area.
Nationals.
It's more like, oh, so those are the rules. Oh, so this is how it's done, and you find out all the stuff you've been doing wrong. I've had that happen with Magic the Gathering, with War Machine Hordes. But anyways, I went up to college, and there was a comic shop, and they did D&D nights, and there was quite a few people there, and that's where I realized that I guess what I would call the nerd enthusiasts tend to have like the worst manners of most other social cliques, because I guess it's if you're always behind that computer screen, so you're not within punching distance of people, so you like develop certain like a-hole habits, and I'd see these guys just like get so butthurt over all you're doing is moving toy soldiers on a table and throwing dice. And you know what? Sometimes those dice don't say what you want them to say.
They're dice.
So it's one of those things like you kind of like just got to ground these people and say, look, you're at the end of the day, you're pushing toy soldiers around on the table, or just playing make believe. It's a dice game. You never know what they're going to say. It's also a decision-based game, so maybe there's something that if some folks just want to do things that are stupid and crazy and think, that, I'm not going to get punished for it. I'm going to, just go through this without getting a scratch. And I'm a DM that'll kind of play it kind of real. If you want to just go head first into the goblins, and if there's 10 of them, and if they all have short bows, you're going to get 10 short bow attacks straight in the face. And it's just like one of those things, like, kind of realize how grounded you are in this game, and that if you lose your mind and go nuts for having a bad roll, we're probably not going to ask you to play anymore because you get way too real. And
Yeah,
I guess that's pretty much it with me, because I've seen
It's that
way
line
too
between
many.
what's not real and what is real.
That's right. What is real?
What is real anymore?
Your
I-
attitude is real, sir.
I don't
For
think
me,
I've had a like super salty player.
Yeah, I've never had anybody that really loses their mind. I mean, you get some table frustration, but I think the key to that is just to understand. It takes a while to understand that failure is just as much fun and can be just as
Yeah.
much fun as success.
Yes.
Oh,
So if
absolutely.
you really biff a roll, it's to me. I always think, like, what's the goofy thing my character did that
Yep.
we can all laugh about and then move on. Yeah, if it happens a lot, if you really just can't get anything together, your character's not playing the way you want. Totally, you can get frustrated. But I always try to think, what's the silly moment? What's the joke I can make? How did I fuck up in a humorous way, just to keep the game moving? Failure can sometimes be even more fun and open up more story possibilities than success, right?
Yeah.
It's all
Like-
about finding fun in
That
failure.
is true.
The only time I could see there being genuine frustration is if you have a like douchebag DM or something who's like
Yeah.
wailing on you all the
Yeah.
time, and you'd be like, that would probably get a little bit frustrating. But
If the DM's
some people
abuse
do
of power
fun.
can really hamper
Yeah.
people's fun. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I guess it tends to be the case that I don't tend to play with people who are dickheads really because because
And
you don't want to.
fun. Play with
Yeah.
your friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, why am I playing with you guys?
It's always the weirdest thing for me was when I probably sat down at this comic shop and DM'd a group of just total strangers for my DM preliminaries because I wanted to DM for the comic shop's night. That was very interesting because some people get just way too serious and other folks are really chill, and I've got to mediate that. 'Cause that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got anything
just back
to
here.
add on this one, Claude? Sorry.
I don't. I did when starting, but I forgot what it was.
It's okay. You've been up a while.
Yeah. Was angry players?
Yeah.
Failure.
What do you
like,
do
how
if you've got a player who's overly angry when something bad happens to his character? What might you do as a DM, I guess?
Probably after the game. The first thing, probably after the game, don't address it in front of everybody. That'll just make him probably more mad. But just maybe be like, hey, can I talk to you after? Or hey, hang out on Skype after, or something. Whatever you kids,
Right.
however you guys play, and just be like, listen, how do you want? What didn't you like about the game tonight? And then if they bring up the fact, I just didn't like how you did the rules or how this happened and why did you attack me there, blah, blah, blah. And if they start to get mad, realize that emotion is just going to only get worse if by blaming or trying to like be like, well, logically you would have been attacked by blah, blah, blah. But just kind of snuff the flame by being like, okay, but the game that we play is based off of chance. There's going to be a lot of dice rolls that we're going to like and we're not going to like. There's going to be a lot of actions that are going to happen that we may not agree with, but they probably happen A, for story, or because logically it's going to happen. If he mentions, oh, I just want my character to be more powerful, I want to get blah blah blah, then write those things down and maybe drop little things, small items that can make like small, minute, mundane magical items that can probably just make him feel more powerful.
Make sure he's getting what he wants out of the game.
Yeah, getting wants out of the game, because it's all about having fun. That's why we're all doing this hobby. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong, and I'm always going to say that. It's like, so write that down. If he mentions what he or she, what they want in the game, write that down. That's a good tidbit for you. But also just like try in your best calming manner. Just be like, listen, this is a game based on chance. It's also a survival game. There's not a real winning type of game here. You don't win the game. You just either your character survives to progress the story, or it dies and you make a new character. So it's like you can play stupid. You don't say play stupid, but like you can make choices that can hurt the character, but they will probably hurt the character. And tonight you made some choices that hurt the character. So so it's like. It's a touchy subject, like especially after if they're still sort of mad, but at least get that tidbit of information, that gem of what they want out of the game and what they enjoy, if it's role playing or not, or if it's more combat, or if it's I want my character to become OP so I can crush gods. Then cool, great, write that down. And that like those are story hooks, those are seeds that you can use in your game, but. It's not going to be an easy conversation,
right?
That's for sure. But if it needs to happen, it may need to happen.
Yeah, I think as usual, these things probably, interplayer problems need to be handled out of character.
Of course, out of character and probably away from the table.
Right.
Yes,
especially away from the other players.
Yeah.
As a DM, do you prefer to have a predefined setting or a world? Or like a homebrew? Would you prefer a predefined setting or homebrew, essentially? Tim, any preference?
Homebrew, 99% of the time. The only time because that's for me, that's where I get most of my enjoyment is the world building stuff. Like, like I love to create the thing, show it to them, see their reaction. I love to get that like, oh, what? I want to check that thing out. You know what I mean, when they get really invested in little stuff, homebrew makes me feel so much better because I know that I'm the one who put the time in to make that cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But I've run the odd published setting stuff. The main one that I'll do is Star Wars because there's just a lot of like recognition with Star Wars. I really like Edge of the Empire, and you can get a lot of extra investment in, oh, I'm Tatooine, or I know what this location is. Not that you can't get that in like Forgotten Realms or Eberron, but it's Star Wars, and you can say the same thing about Star
so
Trek.
widely known too. Yeah.
It's so widely known.
Star Wars.
It's such a part of our like public consciousness at this point that there's so much extra weight that comes behind it. Yeah. So I'm homebrew, but every once in a while I'll run something like Star Wars because it really just tugs your heartstrings, man. It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
What about you,
Disney?
Because you write modules.
Oh yeah. Well, I as you can probably guess, do tend to prefer homebrew stuff.
No.
Although I do like to. I haven't thrown any of the published modules at my group just yet, but I do plan on doing it. I got the Horde of the Dragon Queen,
Nice.
and I'm working on like because I want to bring them into like minis and all that. I'm kind of working on my batch of stuff to throw at them.
Awesome.
But they also what I like about when you do run a pre-published thing, it's like I'm not going to fudge a lot of these stats. This is how it's written. You're going to get the challenges thrown at you if you go that way. And you might find out that I'm actually a very generous dungeon master with the stuff I write myself, because I've looked at some of that stuff for Horde of the Dragon Queen, and like these level 1 encounters are like 5 kobolds, 2 cultists, and 1 thing else. And I'm thinking, if you got like the sorcerer who just got a little out of line and all those kobolds see them, these kobolds are just going to aim their crossbows and deal like 1d6 plus 2 damage for every time they hit, and probably 2 of those will take the guy out.
Yeah.
So it's nice. It's like, I'm a merciful DM. If you don't believe me, sit down. We're gonna play this module.
Yeah, right. They appreciate you so much more afterwards.
Yeah. And it's true. It's because like let's say your character, a character is starting to fall. It's a difficult encounter that you've homebrewed. It's harder for them to get mad at you if you're like, well, it's in the book. So yeah, if you're like, oh well, the ogre, there's 3 ogres here, and they're like, 3 ogres is there's a lot. 2 ogres probably. We took out the 2 ogres, but there's 1 guy standing, and this last ogre, like, just took us out. So
wouldn't he be like just to fuck with your players? But well, it's in the book. Like there's a giant flying walrus attacking you. It's in the book.
That's your notebook. That's your spiral notebook, you asshole.
You just wrote Horde of the Dragon Queen on it and shit.
Yeah,
that counts.
It's very legit. Horde of the Dragon Queen.
The Dragon Queen, exactly. Hold up the Dragon Queen.
Speaking of which, Core, didn't you say your player's handbook was falling apart?
Yes.
So I took mine down to get spiral bound, and this is it's infinitely easier to navigate because you just open it up like this,
shit.
and it was like $5.
Where do you go to that library or just some sort of printing shop?
There's a printing shop, and they I say do this with it, man. It's a really good way to salvage it, and it's more utilitarian.
Nice.
So,
yeah, it looks like it's a bit. Yeah. As well, everybody in chat, if you don't have a player's handbook and you wish to maybe spiral bind yours, Will has one. It looks like he's holding up one right now. That's the one you can win by doing ! Giveaway. Look at that! Everybody grab your. Everybody grab your.
You can't win this one. This one's mine. But
there we go.
This is
PHP
representation of what you
could.
could.
Yeah, you guys can be one of us. When you
show me your
PHP. There it is. All right, so you guys
your PHP
do ! Giveaway and find out how you can enter and win your very own player's handbook and join us.
Keep going in those questions, guys. We need some more. But SCP Fox says, I'm actually a pretty crappy DM. I fudge rolls sometimes. He goes on to talk about using anime storylines and creating special weapons based on Warhammer 40k special rules.
But fudge dice.
Yeah, fudging dice. Should we talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, I'd
good,
love to.
Bad. When's it good? When's it bad?
During a TPK, you can always fudge a dice to make sure.
Make sure you kill them.
Make sure you kill them.
It's true.
I want them to have fun. If they're not having fun dying, then I'll fudge a die, or I'll fudge their stats to make them feel good. if they like the fact that they're dying. Oh my god, this is awesome. Oh, I've got to do another death save. Oh man. Okay, cool, great. You're down again.
Sort of weird masochist.
Yeah, like,
go.
oh man, I get to make a
Classic
new
player, right?
Yeah, that's
Well, I
it.
mean, classic. I mean,
Oh man, I'm really getting
some
off of
players
this
have
death
have a character like ready in the background.
Yeah, true.
Luckily
Yeah.
for me in Numenera, I'm not so heartbroken about Jekyll because I already have like an idea for a character in the background, which is kind of cool. I got distracted by a question. So yeah, fudging die. I fudge die all the time. I try not to do like huge rolls that like attacks. I try not to fudge anymore unless I don't know. There's time during a 3-hour slot that I need to get to. But like that's today I had to do some fudging during Circus and Furnace to get the game moving and progressing. Because we had that 3-hour time slot, but it's hard because it's like you want to have fun. You don't want to be evil, but you want to play with everybody. But you don't want people to be like, especially if it's like close friends, you don't want them to be like, oh, what an asshole! This guy's really being an asshole because like he's killing my character. I have a friend who plays D&D with me, and he loves every one of his characters like to death. So it's always really hard for me, actually not to death because they never actually die, and it's hard for me to actually get him to, like, every time I bring him to 0, he's like, I'm dead, I'm dying.
Oh.
And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, and you're like,
Oh, one of
no,
those.
like, yeah,
Leave him
like,
morose. Yeah.
yeah,
He's a
and it's
crier.
like, ah, God.
How could this happen to me?
Yeah, and he's just like,
It
I'm
honest.
dead, and I'm like, no, you're not. You've got these death saves. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool,
I
great,
guess.
It's all over.
I guess I'm gonna roll death slave.
I guess
so
I'll
it's
just
like,
put all this time into nothing.
yeah, so it's hard for me to be like, all right, this guy, he's going to turn and look
Yeah.
at you and hit you with his club and take you another 12 damage. You're down again, sorry. And he's like, so it's like, it's hard. You got to feel your players. If your player is like so married to this character and they have such good background and story and lore, then maybe keep them alive for an adventure or two, and then maybe kill their character. Let them have something to be like, all right, have those good moments that they can hold on to once their character dies, and they could think about the cool epic times that they had. But I believe it was Wolfgar who in the Forgotten Realms who
Oh man.
Good old Wolfgar.
he had a death.
He was always
he
fudging
comes
rolls,
back,
that
right?
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does come back.
Good. I can talk about it. He dies. There's one moment where he
Oh, spoilers.
I was just gonna say, spoiler, man. That book came out in
Spoilers, oh my
1991.
yeah, exactly. That book came out. Anyway, he dies in the Underdark. He's singing the song of glory as he's being eaten by this ooze demon.
Yeah.
The Yolklol, and he's like the stalactites. He's like holding on to stalagmites and trying to like crawl towards Canterbury, his love. And he's singing the song of glory because that's just how his clan does. And this, like, I don't read many books, but I remember this like scene vividly. And it was such an epic death. And why are you laughing, Will?
No, I'm just trying to think. Do Canterbury and Drizzt or Drizzt later do they hook up? I forget. They do,
Yeah,
don't they?
yeah.
I'm reading the
It's
first
years
book,
later.
so don't spoil me.
Oh, you're
Oh.
reading
I'm
now?
reading the
Too
first
late,
one
man,
right
sorry.
now.
What?
Really,
And,
you were actually in danger of being spoiled by that. We made that joke, but you're actually in the middle of it. That's hilarious.
Reading it right now.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Okay.
Earmuffs.
Anyway.
Beautiful death. You'll love it. He comes back. Don't worry about it. So,
Don't be too upset.
2 spoilers, yeah.
Oh my goodness, he's dead. He's not dead. He's
there's
Gandalf.
so much more to those.
I know Rem was really invested in the
As a
love
Gandalf.
angle, so
Yeah, he's more interested in Canterbury and
he's like,
Drizzt.
what Canterbury?
What? That's weird. Because in this book, she's a baby. All right. So anyway, so that give them those moments of cool, epic times, and maybe when they come to terms with their death. Obviously, the player, whoever was playing Wolfgar at the time, because these are how these books were written, was fine with that death, and he had this awesome roleplay moment. So your characters will probably come to terms at some point and get tired of their character, and then you could roll them over into the grave, and they can make a new character.
Awesome. We're getting lots of good questions in.
Awesome.
I want a quick touch on that before we move on. I am actually in the complete opposite school on dice rolls.
too.
I do not fudge anything.
Nice.
And
I'll roll
I
in
let
front
them
of him.
know that because to me,
I'm
and
trying
again,
not
like,
to, but it's definitely a
right.
hard thing to break.
It's so hard. No, I completely understand. It's something I struggle with every single
So
session. I
hard.
think like I could fudge that, but my players know that I don't. It's just a rule that I have, and that way, when they do win and they overcome
Yeah.
ridiculous odds, they know they did it. And when they get brutalized, they know that it's not my fault. Like the dice
Yeah.
just landed where they landed, right? Like I think there's a certain responsibility that I feel as a DM to let the game be the game. Like yes, I designed the encounter, but the random elements, it's got to be random, or else you know what I mean, then it's
Absolutely.
just I'm pulling all the strings. So I completely get it. I struggle with it every single time. I'm not trying to sound elitist, but I always
no.
try not to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
I today I used all because there's GM
Yeah.
roll in encounter
Right.
or in roll 20, and I don't use that. I don't even like I. At one point, Will was like, "Hey, /GM roll," and I was like, "Oh," because I just didn't know it existed because I've just been
Right,
rolling.
yeah.
I've been wanting to roll dice and not.
I was gonna ask about that, yeah, because I
Fine,
noticed you guys, if you guys play mostly stream, like, do you guys do a lot of GM roll just to hide it from them, or how do you
I
guys?
think Will always does a GM roll.
I tend
Yeah.
to. I tend to, but then
It's also fun because we know he's rolling, and we're like, "Uh-oh," and then
Yeah,
tell us,
yeah.
and then, yeah.
I tend to sometimes. It does depend.
If you want to
On
fudge
yeah. Well, no. It kind of depends on whether or not I actually remember to do it or not. To be honest, half the time I don't. But it's also the case that like because it's on stream, everyone in the stream can see the rolls anyway.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
And so it kind of doesn't matter because like you could actually just be watching the stream and see the dice rolls
And
anyway.
see it
But I
anyway, yeah.
also I also would use it as
Actually,
an
and out of the
as an
abyss they
example.
don't because it's because I'm hosting. Yeah. So.
True. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
But it's also a computer example because we're on stream of being because if I was to fudge a roll, then the audience knows that I've done that, but the players might necessarily not, and so the
Yeah,
audience
sure.
are then like, oh, so I can do this, and then that's an example of when that might be a good idea.
Mhm.
So that's just I guess it's because we're on stream in a way. Half the things
Right.
I do
I think
is 'cause
that changes it so much. I've almost never done like today's adventure was the first time I've ever done it. I think it's really fascinating how much the game is different that way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like from
Yep.
what you run just with your friends in real
Yeah.
life. It's
we had
wild.
a huge culture shock in our like initial group when we came from playing like 2 years of our own game and then coming to
Right.
a really open environment. It's very odd, but it's a lot of
very-
fun. It's just different.
Totally.
It's just different. Yeah.
Super different.
Yeah. All right. How do you
Pizza
introduce
here
new
on
magical items? Rem, any ideas how to introduce new magical items?
I think usually if the magical item is currently possessed by a bad guy, you feel a lot better as a DM of allowing your party to obtain it because they have to slay said bad guy and deal with that magical item before they can obtain it for their own use. And at the same time, you'll feel a lot more like because you kind of want to be a little not so crazy with dishing out magical items because otherwise your party can just get too powerful. But I feel like give it to a bad guy, have it where they have to work to get that magic item, and at the same time, magic item doesn't have to be just a wand that does this or a sword that does that. I've got a very entertaining magical item in Fishing for Gods and Trades Gallows. That's a talking stick that the players could come across, and it kind of helps them. Not really. It just yells obscenities at bad guys, and so I think I think magical items probably bring them in a little later on, unless it's consumable like a scroll. But like I said, if it's at like in a treasure hoard or something like that, I rarely have it where they can just buy the magical item unless that item is
Yeah.
going to like really set them back gold wise. Like usually they have to chip in and get like the shield of whatever resistance.
Yeah, I usually find out. I find it kind of. I don't know. It feels a little bit like it's a bit cheaper in a way if you can just go and buy a really cool magical
Yeah.
item.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're playing an MMO or something. It's
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Ca-
cooler
cash
when
in
you've
your
earned
PvP
it from a
points.
boss or or it's a narrative tool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have an interesting mechanic that I like to throw into my games. I agree. I don't like going. Oh, I'm gonna go to the magic shop and see what they have.
Yeah,
and then you're
agreed.
like, well, there isn't one. And they're like, what do you mean there isn't a magic shop? There's magic weapons in the book. And
Right.
I have It always feels good, especially taking that sword from that baddie that you just saw that he lit on fire, like blue flickering flames. You're like, oh wow, I want that. How do I get that?
Uh-huh.
It's always good taking that from his cold dead hands.
Dead hands. Ooh.
Exactly. But the way I like to introduce new magical items as well is in my games, if you're wielding a magic item and you die, your essence stays within your because there's magic everywhere within this world of fantasy. There's ghosts, there's undead, there's a bunch of different things. So if let's say you die, there's whatever's in your inventory, you roll. Maybe like not the rope. I don't know. Maybe you can like roll whatever's the number of items you have.
Haunted rope.
Woo! But they've got like a movable rope or something. That could be cool. But
Yeah, no, it's very cool.
yeah, you can. Yeah, whatever core. That's really cool. So no, the.
I
No, I'm
think
just
it's
kidding. Like, yeah, no, that's cool. So yeah, I take like a dice or something, and I'll take probably I'll have them roll whatever whatever it is. If you're playing at home and not on you can make a custom dice, a D7 dice if you wanted here on Roll20. But if you're playing at home, just kind of figure it out or take out the stupid items. Excuse me. Roll it. One of those items turns into a magical item. Then you have to roll and see if it's going to be cursed or not. Therefore, there are cursed items in the world. There are magic items in the world. Maybe all these cursed items aren't created by a weird magic wizard who wanted to curse somebody. Maybe they're just haunted. They're being haunted by this past spirit who once wielded, or this great hero, this great long dead hero. Yeah. So that's always kind of cool, especially if a player falls. You can pick up his sword.
His history that
his
you can
once
connect with.
like
Yeah.
short sword, and now is a +2 short sword of Dragonbane. That's probably a lot, but
That's
like,
true, because often
now they
they'll be
can
like,
be like, oh,
and you
awesome,
find
yeah.
the ancient sword of Asnagard that has all this history, but you don't actually know where any of the history is. Whereas
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
is Bob's
It's just a cool
sword
name.
from when he killed that and then
Peasant
died
Bob, yeah. Peasant
last
Joe,
week.
Peasant Joe's hoe of +1.
Peasant Joe's hoe.
Yep. So
That's when you have a player just lead all the party somewhere and get them killed, and then like loot all their magic weapons.
yeah.
And slowly become the most powerful PC.
Exactly. Yeah. That's I think we mentioned this last time I brought that.
I think
up.
so, yeah.
Yeah, but that's just something I like to throw in there too. Is just to kind of if a player was to die, going back a step into that last question, if a player was to die for any reason, you could also throw that, and then the party can at least try to carry his memory through, which is kind of cool. So it's not really dying in vain.
Yeah. What about you, Timothy? You got anything to add on that one?
I just don't. I mean, I'm in the minority here. I don't like
Just
magic
don't.
items. I just don't. I don't like
I'm
them.
not
I mean,
a
like,
huge fan. I'm not
I
the
think
biggest.
that they work. I think they work well in like narrative purposes. If it's like
Except for
to
giant
destroy
slaying
ring.
ogre axes.
Yeah. Okay. That's the one magic item that I will allow.
Yeah.
No, but I was saying that like I like the way 5th edition does them because they're very focused on limiting them and saying you can have 2 or 3 important items, right? Like you have to attune them. But I just played so much 4th, and 4th edition was just stacking up. Okay, you need a +3 shield, and you need a +3 armor, and you need a +3 sword, and you need a +3 boots, and you need a +3 cloak, and it just became so wow like. So to me, I won't introduce a magic item unless it really has a good narrative purpose. Like, I've totally done the artifact quest where you have to go halfway across the world to find or destroy this thing, but like I don't like the idea of little kind of useless. Oh, this is just a generic +1 sword. Like, why would who make? You know what I mean? Like, that's like, is there an arm
serrated?
serrated?
What is this?
Churning them out? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so I very rarely use them unless I absolutely feel like they are essential to the story. Now, I haven't done a lot of 5th, so maybe 5th edition would be better for me for that, but I got so sick of it by the end of 4th, and I just found the characters didn't need them. They weren't, like, really underpowered without them. So I'm not super into their use, but I obviously will make the exception if the story sort of requires it. Yeah.
Okay, we've got a lot of questions, so
Sweet.
we can.
Awesome.
We'll try not to rant too much. I know we'll get carried away.
Yeah, I'm really good at that.
Yeah. Any tips on
Yeah.
keeping a player who wants to lone wolf away from the party all the time, other than having him keep getting attacked? So if there's a player who keeps lone wolfing away from the party, any way not to get him killed or to keep him with the group, I suppose.
What I've done is the opposite of that, is let the party come across all the good stuff. They get all the loot, because
Yeah.
When I first ran, or the second time I ran Sun Goes Down with Ruby Smile, I had a guy who he role played pretty much a Finbar. His name was like Reggie Gold. He was a bard, and he just
He's one
wanted
of a
everyone
kind.
to,
Remember?
yeah, he just wanted like everyone to do stuff for him. He was very, and so he just kind of sat on the boat while the other two guys went and did the adventure, and so they got the XP, they got the loot, and at the end of the module, I was like, okay, well, you two get XP, you don't get nothing. What? You
Yeah.
didn't do anything.
Yeah, you weren't there.
It's
That's
weird.
good.
Yeah. That's a very good way of doing it. Just let you
Just ignore him.
stick with the party.
Like,
Rule one.
why dedicate all this time to this one dude who doesn't want to participate when you can like go with the four main people in the party and
Yeah.
you know,
Rule one when playing a D&D game is never split the party. It's a headache for everybody. It's just more fun. You're a robot again, to me.
I am. Let me try my.
Roger.
What about the character who's like a lone ranger? He's in character. He's got these reasons to be
Yeah.
wanting to be alone. He's got a dark past or whatever. You know, he's playing. Yeah, he's,
well, my
he's playing emo
counter
Aragorn.
my counter to the whole it's what my character does is you created the character, dude. It's not like unless it was assigned to you,
Yeah.
you created this character, so you don't blame it on your character because you created it. You know, you should have created someone who, participates a little bit more. That's why
Or
you
do you
don't
think
create a
that's a
character.
failure? Do you think that's a failure of communication between a DM and a player to be like, okay, you need to, what the kind of game is, you need to be in a group, and playing a lone ranger probably isn't going to work. Is that the sort of conversation you should have
Well, I think you can-
beforehand, before you
I
get to
think-
the point where there's no fun for that player?
I think you could be that lone ranger in the group, but like he needs to do something to benefit the group. Like if the lone ranger wants to go off and like maybe there's a strong like a watchtower, and he says I'll go deal with like the goblins in the watchtower just so you and distract them so you guys can sneak past. Then yeah, that's what I consider a coalescive group. But if you got that one guy who just wants to do this own thing, and while the main party goes after the main quest or the main group, that's when it's kind of listen, if you want to do something like that, you're going to have to understand I'm not going to have to give you so much attention because I'm going to devote most of my time to whoever I can entertain the most, especially if I feel like you're doing it just to do your own thing. If just play Skyrim, if that's what you're
Yeah.
going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts on this, Tim?
Well, for me, like I agree that if the player just doesn't want to participate, then they're obviously in the wrong group. Logistically, if you do have a situation where a player gets sent to scout off, or the group agrees, oh, go sneak ahead.
Yeah.
The cut scenes is the answer, right? You devote a little bit of time to each one. So you do like, okay, we're here with you. You can sneak down the hall. What do you do? Perception. Okay, you think there's somebody talking. Anyway, back to the main group. What are you guys doing? And just jump between, right?
Yeah.
Like you can isolate sometimes. Sometimes I'll take somebody out in the other room if I really want to keep the information secret. But I've had whole sessions where the entire party in a town will split up and they'll all go do their own thing, and you
Yeah.
just jump between each one. Like there isn't anything necessarily wrong with it if the whole party's behind it, right? If everyone's like,
Yeah.
cool, go for it, Ranger, then great. But it's only when he says like, I don't care, I'm gonna go do my own dark quest, then that's when you have to have a real problem.
Cool. Okay, how much in your Comic-Con donation box now? I think we are 7 out of 10, so that must be nearly like 700 quid, I reckon.
Oh,
So we're getting there. The more and more
So
we do
many
these,
ways.
the closer we get. So many squids. All right, that's a good one. What's your opinion on railroading, and how often should you do it, especially if you as a DM are too busy to fully map out a campaign? Do we want to define railroading? Because it could be that there simply is a quest. Like this is the quest. If you don't do this, the world is gonna end. You've got to put the ring into Mordor.
Yeah,
that
right.
is the quest. And is that a railroad, or is that just
I think that depends largely on how the DM reacts. If the DM presents, the ring needs to be destroyed or else the world will end, and the players choose not to, then it's the DM's responsibility to make the world end, right? Like, as opposed to saying, no, but you have to. I mean, you got it. Railroading would be if you literally force them, you have no other option. Or if
Hey.
they decide we don't want to destroy the ring, and then some other circumstance comes along, well, you should really. Another NPC says, "Please destroy the ring for me," right?
Yeah.
Like if the DM won't let them get over the quest, I think that's railroading, as opposed to just like saying that this is the most important thing in the whole world and you better do it. Like the DM is allowed to suggest that, but the player is just as likely to neglect it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the ring. I'm actually going to take the ring north, and no, you can't. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go.
do
It's
you
impossible. Uh-huh.
What if
You just
I
can't, they won't let you
swallowed
go.
the ring?
nope, can't do that either.
No one
Actually,
thought.
That's a good point. I
Yeah.
wonder if you did swallow it, like would the Nazgul still be able to track you down? Like,
Dunno. They'd probably
Yeah,
like
that's-
get it out of your liver or so.
yeah, they just cut it out.
Something,
I suppose.
yeah.
Like, we know
That's
it's
never
near
discussed. No
here.
one says eat the ring, right? Gimli
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
set it up. Like
Now we have to
just-
wait 3 to 5 days.
Yes.
That's true. It would eventually pass. That's a good
They
point.
they like feed him loads of like fibrous food, like give him like,
Like lembas bread, lembas bread,
It's just-
lembas.
I've got this image of like a Nazgul with like a box of Raisin Bran, and he's
Yeah.
just feeding it. Like,
Shoveling it into the hobbit's
eat
mouth.
this.
oh man.
Gandalf, I hate this. Eat it.
Anyway,
I
good question.
No matter what, never chew.
I'm gonna put it to you that railroading could be fine if you were just doing a one shot.
That's true, because that's
And
you've only
it's
planned
basically
this
what
one
needs to
thing.
happen because you've prepared for a session, and that's kind of what you have prepared. I think it was Mitch that was saying the other day, he was talking to us, or maybe on stream, and he was saying in the module interview with Rem the other week that you kind of have this expectation with your players that you set, which is right. I've got this prepared in this adventure. I don't really have anything else. So if you like, you come to your players and you're like, so basically, can we play this because this is gonna be fun, I hope. And they're like, no, I want to go after the other city. It's like I don't have another city. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just for that one shot campaign, it might be better just to ask your players beforehand. It's like, yo, we're doing a one shot. This is a one shot. But then again, also it's like, I guess you need your characters to have a reason to be doing that in the
Right.
one shot. And if then their players are like, no, I go off and do this other thing. It's like, well, you're just being a dickhead, then I. It
That's
is.
the plan.
That's
Yeah,
me.
that's,
Yeah, so that was fun.
Turning a one shot into a sandbox.
Yep.
The thing is,
I've had it
I've
happen.
done that though. That like it is possible if you set like one of the
yeah.
most successful one shots I've done was like a jailbreak. So all I did was just map out the jail and the guards and say go. Like I didn't have a plan. It was just you have a goal. Here's a site. Figure it out, right? And that actually will work really well for a one shot because I think it gives them the sense of freedom. We can do whatever we want as long as the DM is a good improviser. It doesn't really matter. You don't go in with a plan. Say this is the only way to escape. You just these are the guards. This is the DC for the lock. Go for it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think you can do a sandbox one shot. It's just usually have to be kind of site based as opposed to event based. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or be running it in like a canon, which you know really well, maybe.
That's the other thing, right? Either can you know really well, or and this is more of a campaign thing. As you get further along in the campaign, it would get to the point where the most recent game I ran was 3 years long, whole big thing. But it would get to the point where they would wildly veer off the course, and I just know the world and the characters well enough. You lose the need to railroad after a certain point in a campaign. Eventually, you just I know kind of what's going on or where they are. I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Probably comes down to a lack of like preparation, probably railroading.
Mhm.
For the
Totally.
most part, if you encounter that in your games, it's probably because the DM maybe he's new, or maybe just
Yeah.
hasn't prepped a lot for the
Or
the
doesn't feel confident improvising on
Yeah.
their feet or making something up. Yeah, a lot of times it's just an experience thing.
yeah.
If my group knew how much I improvised, they would be very, very shocked. Well, so
Oh,
it's like,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
like that one time when I I built up the whole town and they decided not to go that way. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
fine, don't go to my town. But you do come across, and I throw out like this crazy hillbilly town with like all these like bayou people.
Yeah,
who-
sure.
And it's like, you're gonna get the weirdo town that just might kill you. And so it's like, no,
This
we're
is
gonna.
what you get for not going to the normal town that I've already created.
Although Sydney, I was so proud of her because this is when it was like her first big moment
too.
of where she truly contributed something hysterical to the campaign. Like when they get there, there's this little halfling lady named Auntie Nanny who like welcomes them in and feeds them, and it's this very oh hello everyone sort of thing.
Mhm.
And at one point, they like the whole town thinks the party's dead, so they like adopt the party's 2 orphan kids. And but Sydney realizes, oh no, we gotta get the kids back.
More adoption. I get it.
So she goes and she's got like this giant Southern Belle dress, like a Scarlett O'Hara thing,
Sure.
and like sinks the kids out under like the hoops of the dress. And and Auntie,
Nice.
but like one of the kids, they're leaving, like reaches his hand out and hits like the little bell at the end. And Auntie Nanny's all, you're stealing the children. So Cindy just magic missiles the hell out of this little old lady and sends her flying across the room and just, go kids, go, running out.
Oh
This is
my
probably the
God.
greatest thing ever. She just like murdered the sweet little old lady.
Adorable old Southern granny. Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, that's
No,
awesome.
we're looking to adopt.
There you go. Well, right now in the campaign,
You said
she
that
owns.
so seriously. I was like, oh, okay, good
she-
for
Is-
you. Yeah. Might know how to react.
She owns Ruby the half orc, and she also has this sassy little girl who beats people up with a frying pan.
Nice.
All right, good question coming in here. Do you find it easier or harder to DM on stream? I think all of us have DM'd a game
Yeah.
at one point or another on stream.
Just the one.
Just the one, yeah. That's all you need. Did you find it easier, harder?
I found it a little bit harder for me. I mean, I've got I think if I had 2 screens, it'd be a little easier because I could keep all like my data on one screen,
Oh yeah.
and then the stuff I interact with on the other. Because when I DM like in person, it's like I got all my books, I got all my stuff just kind of set out. It's a lot easier for me to navigate my sources. Whereas on stream, it's like, damn, do I have a map set up for this? I can't just reach over, draw something out on like a grid,
Yeah.
and then stick stuff there. I have to like pull the thing up, find these things, stick them in there. That the one time I did DM on the stream was like with Edge of the Empire, and it was like the first time anyone in Encounter Roleplay had played with those mechanics.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah.
I was kind of pioneering it, and that was a little odd.
That's a
because
tricky
I
one
never-
to start. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially yeah, if you're like, okay, you see that symbol? That symbol means this. But
Yeah.
that also
Yeah,
that
yeah.
symbol it cancels this one. Like they're
Yeah.
not actually numbers that we recognize. So it's
Yeah,
like,
that's extra tricky.
yeah. So it's like every
It is-
rule you're explaining the rules.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not like the symbols are like a star or a
No,
square.
yeah,
It's like
it's-
you
Yeah,
see
they're
that weird little shape with this on it.
Right.
Yeah,
It's-
it looks like a
Like,
flying
I-
saucer, but it's sideways. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that system, but I've never thought about streaming it. That sounds bonkers. Yeah.
We did on the last 24-hour stream. I did the starter set,
Sure.
um,
Yeah.
set
I played that
everything
one.
out, and it was quite entertaining because Twitch chat vote, they determined that a demon Ewok was supposed to show up who was a Sith Lord.
Oh,
And so
no.
I just had to
That happened.
Rastrosphere actually did that suggestion.
yes. And so it was like, okay, and it almost killed Pash. Oh, Sydney played Pash, and she was hysterical as Pash because she just played him like this womanizer who made everybody else.
Yeah, sure. Funny.
But
What about you, Myth? You've DM'd a lot on the show.
Yeah, I have. Well, I was excited. So,
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing a lot of voices tonight. Don't you worry. So the
Really? Oh.
I think I find it a little harder. I've got people watching me. It's performance. I'm scared. I've, like,
You're out
as
of
much as I
time.
love performing and love doing it, there's also this. Are you doing it right? Are you doing it right? Also, I have my microphone feeding back into my own ears, so I can hear my voice just the way you guys hear it. So I know exactly how I sound, so I can do my voice acting, and that also throws me off.
Yeah.
Because it's not like there's no lag, but it still throws me off because I'm like, that didn't go well.
That's what I
I'm just-
sound
I'm-
like. Yeah.
yeah, I'm constantly moving. It helps me. I know what my voice sounds like now.
good.
Just doing voice acting and constantly listening to myself on this microphone. But it distracts me a bit. I do want to turn it down and like turn it off. But then if I do that, then I won't gain the benefits of knowing what I sound like.
Yeah.
I won't know what you guys hear. It also helps my levels. So I like it. I know when I'm muted. I know when I'm not. So it's a bit. I think that's really what kind of throws me off because I'm right in the middle of like me doing some sort of flavor text. I get distracted because I'm hearing what it sounded like and I'm hearing about and it's just millions of things. And I suffer from attention deficit disorder, so I get a lot of information constantly being fed through my mind, and so it's like I've got 2 screens in front of me. Both have chats. Both are full of color. So it's like Yeah, it's yeah. I'm like, oh my god, overload. So there are times where I
Totally.
just kind of my brain kind of farts, and I'm like, ooh, oh boy, what was I doing? It's kind of hard, but I love it. But it's definitely it's a bit harder here because if we were at a table with books in front of me, I could just look and see the same image, which is tables and people,
Right.
and you're just hanging out with your friends. But here it's just screens and colors, screens. This doesn't look right because I'm an artist, so it needs to look better over here. But oh my god, people are chatting with me over here. So it's but yeah, it's a little hard for me. That's the struggles of mathematics.
How was your experience, Tim?
It was good. I enjoyed it, but I'm very much in the camp with you guys that I found it to be very difficult. Like first time, obviously, I'm sure it would get easier if I continued to do it, but like just juggling everything, and I don't know. I feel like I'm a very big vocal hands gestury DM, and like
You're a bit
just
handsy.
being, yeah, I'm very handsy. Just being reduced down to like a tiny little box. I'm like, that's all you get. Like, you know what I mean? I felt very limited in what I could do to like interact
You
and
did
portray.
great because the character that you did most of your movements was this like emaciated.
Oh yeah, the little
Yeah. So it works
So, like
fine.
it ended up working in the adventure,
Yeah, yeah.
but I felt very boxed in and trying to maintain all this stuff. So like it worked. I'm glad people had a good time, but I'm so much more of a real person, like IRL DM. I think everybody
Yeah.
would be if you could.
I
Yeah.
just imagine you like bouncing around the room, coming out, walking away from the DM screen, and
Yeah,
just, like, walking
all the time.
up and down the,
that's exactly
like, the
who I
dining
am.
room
I'm
hall.
crawling around. I'm doing all
You're just underneath the
That's
table, and
totally-
you're like
Whispering in people's ears.
That's me, man.
I would say, yeah, it's definitely harder. I would not recommend it for the casual DM or the group that doesn't want to.
You have to
I
really
see.
want it,
Yeah, you gotta want it. I mean, I see a lot of streams, and they're typically the ones with 0 to 5 viewers down the bottom of the list in D&D, and they're the groups of people that are just playing D&D
Yeah,
for the sake of streaming it, I guess.
Right.
Because
Yeah. They don't
they-
really have an audience. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no like point to it. I think if you want to be streaming, you've got to be streaming for have some kind of goal you want to be doing.
Yeah, that's a very
So,
good.
it's definitely harder. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's worse. That definitely
No,
that kind of
I,
performance definitely drives my like adrenaline to do things. And like when you get the really good moments with stream interaction and reactions from really good bits of roleplay and stuff, those moments really make it
Totally.
magical. Yeah.
I actually
Definitely.
found that I liked playing a lot. I mean, obviously playing is much easier, but I was worried like, oh, this isn't going to be as much fun. But I actually had a really great time in Myth's game just as a player. I was like, this is, I don't know, like having a lot of the math and the rolling done for you.
Yeah.
I don't know, I found it so much easier.
Yeah.
So easy.
'Cause I don't normally
with the
play,
player,
but like
yeah.
I just got spoiled with like, oh, it just does the hit point math for me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm still doing the
And it
bells
is
and
much
whistles.
cheaper.
Ben
Yeah.
from Saving for a Show also said he found the same thing because they always play in real life. And it was joking like the Roll20 gave him really good rolls, but
Yeah,
at the
it's
same
true.
time
I
it's
mean,
like,
it's true.
oh,
I
this
saw
I just click a button and I don't have to go
It's
through
true.
sheets of pages to find everything out.
Well, thank you, Lacey, so much for the follow. You are
Thanks,
a
bud.
gentle
Hey.
woman and/or man and a scholar. Thank you
A
so
gentle,
much,
gentle being.
gentle being.
Yes.
You are a gentle they and a
Gentle
scholar.
person.
Guys, we are 12 followers away from
Wow.
a viewer decision. If we get 12 followers in the next, what is it, hour and 15?
We could do that.
Yeah, we could do that. In an hour and 15, in our next game, which would be Numenera on Monday, you guys can do a crazy, cool, Ninth World, Numenera sci-fi, medieval type, sci-fi
Extravaganza.
fantasy type
I was trying to-
viewer decision. It's pretty cool.
I was trying to figure out how you were going to have a player decision in the DM talk. I was like,
Yeah.
gelatinous
No,
cube
yeah.
drops on one of us, right? Like,
Yeah, which
how
of
are
us
gonna
do we
make that
kill?
work?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Which one drops the
Oh, no,
call next?
The dragon shows.
Die.
I've
That'll be for our
installed
next game on
IEDs
Monday.
in each of the players' houses. Cool, that's good. That's a good one. Favorite useless magic item you ever made or were given?
Useless. Oh, jeez.
Marvelously the sword who was really upset all the time, and whenever he had to kill someone, he'd be really, really morose and depressed.
What about Angry Pants?
Angry Pants is pretty good actually.
Yeah, that
it was the goblin called Angry Pants, but then they found out he was called Angry Pants because they met him and he was like, "Oh,
Very
hey
rude
guys,
pants.
shut up!" coming from his crotch. So his trousers were alive. They were pretty useless, but they were good fun.
The pants are alive.
Funny.
Any favorite useless magic items?
Useless
magic
it's hard because in D&D you can make anything useful.
Yeah.
Tonight we watched Delinear play a level 1 or level 7 wizard, but he was casting level 1 cantrips and spells and owning like he was
annihilating.
Yeah, he was
those
annihilating,
encounters, yeah.
greasing everything. Everything was falling, and it was like, it was so cool. And then like he would use Misty Step to walk up on and knock people over. Really cool stuff. So like in D&D, it's so cool because not many useless things are around. You can
How
find
about
a use
Numenera
for
then?
a lot.
Because Numenera's got some kind of useless
Yeah,
items,
there
isn't
are
it?
some
Like
useless
ciphers.
items. Yeah.
I've got like that face cream, which if you apply it to your face, it makes you look 4 years
Yeah.
younger. And I'm playing
4
like a
years.
samurai warrior. Like, what's he gonna do with that? Yeah, literally 4 years
there's a
younger.
lot of Numenera's got these weird things. I think I had a capsule that turns you into a stone when you swallow it for 28 hours. So it's like it's very oddly specific about these certain things.
That's wacky.
My oddity in that game or at the moment before Jack Lee ate it was I still gotta make a character for that. Before he ate it, had a pair, like a three, not a like a match of 3 shoes for like a tripedal being.
Sure.
That's just what he had. So that's useless. I tried to use it.
I would commend you
I think
if you
that was
could
probably
find
my
a use for
favorite
that.
useless because I tried so hard. Every creature and new alien that we found, how many legs does this one have? And it was just he's got 2. Damn it!
My father was
someday.
killed by a
Still
three-legged
got
man.
this guy's shoe. Yeah. And
He was stomped to death.
is he wearing socks? Because I'm missing. I know someone's missing shoes around here. But yeah, it was.
Funny.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was a good useless one. I mean, I could have used it as like a bola, not
Just
Ebola,
tie 'em all
but,
together?
yeah, just tie them all together and just catch birds.
Quickly coming back to last one, Beth, Encounter Beth since stream says, I find it difficult keeping things stream friendly. Role playing beforehand with Joshua and James gave us a lot of in jokes and stuff like that to be careful with on stream. I think that's true. Not just like sensitive things that you can't necessarily say.
Yeah.
But just the fact that people don't want to watch a group of people who have a million in jokes that you don't understand,
Or
which
just
aren't
politically,
funny.
like, incorrect jokes that you guys all think.
Yeah,
are funny,
you
but
can
they're
make
a little
you can
offended
make
about. Yeah.
like jokes which are
Donger
which
jokes.
would offend people.
Yeah,
Right.
When you're with a group of friends that you're not going to offend.
Yeah.
because you know them.
It's context, isn't it? Whereas
Right.
you can't do or say some things when you're
Yeah, Will
streaming.
and I are awful when we do our Skype meetings offline. We are
Yeah.
awful people.
Oh,
yeah.
the things I say.
But yeah.
I'm pretty bad about swearing. I swear loads, but I try not to. So
we
much.
tried not to for a while on Encounter, and then
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
if
guess
it was
like
me that
the
just
worst
really
ones,
broke it.
like try not to break the drop the C bomb too much. You know.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the C bomb. Yeah, like
It's
it's not a
usually
big. It's not a
offense.
big deal for you guys.
I was gonna say it's kind of a different
Yeah.
thing in England, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's you do not
just
say
a
that
word
to your
over
mother.
there.
Like
Oh.
she would not have you say that in your house.
Oh,
very
yeah. You wouldn't say that
inflammatory.
anywhere in America. You could be like, oh,
Really?
that person's being a real C, and you're like, whoa, that's a
What's
word.
what's the worst one in America? If you
The
Considered
problem is
social-
that they're all like charged with different demographics.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
C is bad for certain people, N is pretty bad for
well,
other people.
yeah,
You know, that's what I mean, right?
Considered
There isn't like
differently.
one that's universally bad for everyone.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a real dangerous topic.
Yeah, maybe we should move on. But yeah,
No,
it's
but
just-
yeah, even
my
yeah,
personal
even just answering that is hard. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, to kind of
Um,
segue from that, like I know when I started DMing with like Sydney and all of them, I mean they were all this group of high schoolers like 9 years younger than me, and they kind of have their own clique. There were so many times where they would stop and like make this inside joke and giggle at it and keep going. I'm just staring at them like, oh,
oh yeah,
okay.
I wasn't there in geology earlier
Yeah,
today.
and so, and of course, like there's all these younger generational things that, like like the whole John Cena thing goes. I'm just like, this is just Rick Roll, but
Yeah.
with a different
Yeah.
person. And and that's okay, fine, whatever. Do your John Cena thing. And I feel like that's like because at one point where we were talking about doing a YouTube thing, and I just kind of said, okay, guys, so these little inside jokes you do, you can't do them
That's
because
true.
no one's
Yeah,
gonna
if you want
get
an
it.
inside joke, you have to create it on
There you go.
camera
On
on
the
stream,
show,
and
yeah.
then
Right.
you can like 17 and Donger is now like our inside joke here, and we It started here, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it started when Will was born, because let's be real.
Yeah, day one.
But,
Day one
yeah,
since day one. But, yeah.
Day one
17
hunger.
since day one.
Yeah, that's definitely. It's because you got an audience, you know. So much
Exactly.
changes
Your
when you have an
audience can
audience.
play along and they get the references, but if it's an outside joke or it's an inside joke outside of the game or outside of the stream,
Yeah.
it's not fun for people who don't
Yeah.
know.
It's
it.
exclusionary. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also a thing you sometimes I think when you get like a really hardcore group of people all making in jokes, even just in chat, you might, as a casual viewer, you might come into a chat and you find a hardcore group of people that are making all these in jokes. You don't really know what's going on, and that might put you off, like saying something in a chat. I don't know.
Yeah. I think
Probably irrelevant.
no matter what you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say that Fig Muffin has been in chat for I think the past 2 or 3 games, and he's just been every like 5 minutes just roll gold.
Like he actually doesn't care about the stream at
Go.
all. He's just there. For
Yeah,
the gun.
no, I mean,
The gold.
he's saying some fun things and he's interacting with the chat. He's actually my friend
Okay.
outside IRL, and he's actually I think he played his first D&D game recently.
Awesome.
If I'm correct, Fig Muffin.
Nice.
I believe he had a lot of fun. So it's kind of cool that he kind of understands what's happening here.
See it from Monarch's Gold.
Yeah. It's just really funny because he's just rolling and just look at him. Yeah, so it's just really funny because it's just and now he's trying to do give gold to the poor. He's trying to just be the Robin Hood of everybody just by playing dice. Oh man! All right,
Nice.
sorry.
All right. So when running a campaign, how much do you script versus improv? Let's have it all out then.
Cool.
I say I go about 80% improv really when I play with my group because there's no way I can script it. And I found out one time when I did script a lot of stuff out, I just was so anxious because I was trying to stick to the script. Like I had one thing where every moment took place in like this little slave town area. But one guy, Brandon, just kept wanting to try to escape. It's like, you can't escape. There's no quest that exists out there yet.
Just blank, nothing.
You're not-
You're not at the high enough
keeps getting
level to
caught.
take this quest.
Yes.
You run across the grass, and then it starts to turn into barren desert, and then from there the sand disappears, and you're standing on a white plain.
Oh,
It's
cool.
like the Super Mario 64 when the world would just end with a cliff
Yeah.
and you just
Yeah.
run into the wall and you can't go any farther.
Or in Diablo 2, where the server's lagged and there's a big black wall that you can't walk through.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
West March's campaign on Thursdays I do is 95%
exclamation point
improv.
play if you want to get involved in that.
That's just turn up random group. I might have a vague idea of a.
Is that the
storyline.
Goblin one?
Yep, Goblin one is like all improv. So when people are like, "What's this lore about goblins?" I'm like, it's this. And
Just
Turns
made it
out,
up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do like
Like
Goblin.
Angry Pants was probably on the fly when they mentioned, does he have angry pants? And you
Yeah,
said,
Angry
oh,
Pants is on the fly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, what's his name? Angry Pants.
Angry Pants. Yeah, those are like
Why is he
those
called
are
Angry
awesome.
Pants?
Angry
Because
Pants
he's
is like
got angry
Stinky
pants.
Nose.
And yeah, that's the beauty of goblins. Is like
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
name
Yeah.
somebody Angry Pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
This makes
That's funny.
But for like the Broken Kingdom campaign, which we just finished the first season of a few weeks ago, I planned quite a bit for that actually. I had like 40,000 word
you
document
must
of
have,
notes
it's
and
crazy,
stuff,
yeah.
and there was a lot of stuff going on there. But it depends. I think it was also because it was like the first show, and I was like, oh, I've got to do all this stuff.
Gotta make
and-
it count.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do it.
That's like the first time I DM for Sydney and them I did Sun Goes Down with the Ruby Smile, and then after that I just improvised everything. So I had like the one scripted thing,
Yeah.
and okay, I got them hooked. Boom. Here's the other wacky adventures of you and your crazy party of elves and elves and elves and
Elves
elves.
and elves and elves and children.
elves and elves and elves and elves.
It's like, what's your race? High elf, wood elf, half elf, high elf, high elf. Like,
Dark elf. Oh. Nice.
Funny.
What are
Yeah, I
your
guess-
feelings on elves, everybody?
it's too damn many elves.
Nice.
Play a dwarf.
I'm with you. Exactly. I hate elves.
I'm a dwarf man myself.
Nice.
Well,
Will?
the most, yeah.
Yeah, elves little bitches, really.
Yes. Awesome. What a good one.
Hear that, elves? Get out of the stream,
Yeah,
elves.
get out, elves.
Not welcome here. Only Christmas
Awesome.
elves.
All right, what a good cast. All right, you guys can all stay.
You're allowed. You can come back. Yeah. Let me see what else I've got. Legit says fuck else.
All right, see if it can.
A lot of these we've taken before. Do you ever use alignment outside of paladins? Is there a penalty of some sort
It's
for
true,
characters
yeah.
killing good NPCs or innocents, or are murder hobos free to kill? Tim, murder hobos
don't-
free to kill?
Yeah, they're free to kill in the sense that I don't wring my hands a lot about what the alignment means. Like, if a character's
Yeah,
really
so-
acting in a ridiculous way, for me, it's more about the consequences in the world. So if you go and murder a bunch of people just because you're a murder hobo, what's the authority like in the area? What are the consequences in the world? Not necessarily in the kind of meta game of what does your alignment represent. I like to have the characters have an alignment because it helps them, but I've almost never sat down with the PC and been like, you're not acting your alignment. You know what I mean? Like, that's never happened in one of my games.
No, because
so
it's not
to me, it's
people.
it's right. It's weird, and it's all gray areas. There's so many, like, you could do an evil act today and a good act tomorrow. Does that make you neutral? Like, it's all just dependent on your character and the situation. So
Good
Yeah.
people do bad things.
Yeah.
exactly, it happens, man. So, like, to me, it's more about the consequences in world than it is about the consequences out of world. I would never punish a player for doing an evil act. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
seems silly.
Yeah.
It's like old,
Go
it's
ahead,
like old peasant Joe. You know, he did some evil things.
Me and Sydney were having this exact same conversation the other night, which is
Yeah.
an insight into what we talk about, just D&D.
That's
Yeah.
me too, man.
It's like,
That's the only way it works.
Tonight we're talking about alignment. All right, Sydney again. Okay, fine. No, yeah, she was saying she has a problem. She had a problem with it when a player says, "I am an evil character. I have murdered these people, and I have flayed the skin of 7 orphans. But I'm actually a really nice person. I just want to
Yeah.
help people."
Yeah, what?
It's like, well,
I just
you're
wanna be
not playing a
understood.
character.
Right, yeah.
But I'm a really nice person if you get to know me. Inside
Yeah.
out.
If you can get past the flaying, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you, I mean, once you get past the baby flaying, it's fun. What about you, Cord?
I believe in alignment is pretty much there to start your character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, your character starts at whatever alignment. You could kind of figure out what in the background has brought the character to here. Everybody's character starts off neutral, I know, and when they're not, because they know that everybody knows that they're gonna probably get, and, like, let's say chaotic good or lawful neutral. People, that's really hard to play, unless they're like, we're outside of a town. This isn't against the law. Like, it's like, those are hard. It's just like, I find those where your character sheet says it because that's where you started at. Of course, story is going to happen. Things are going to change. I'm not going to be like,
Right.
oh, you actually slayed that helpless ogre because your party member cast it to sleep, but you're lawful good. You wouldn't do that, so change your alignment, please.
Right.
And then let's
And-
move on. Like, you can't be a paladin anymore. I'm sorry. No, I'm not going to do that. Your character started off thinking lawful good ways. They're always going to think they're in the right. So they're
Right.
always, in their eyes, are
Yep.
going to be good. Adolf Hitler was good in his own eyes. So it's like, where you start is, like, when I first introduced this character to the players, this is morality lands on this part of the scale, and of course it's going to change, and it'll change when, of course, as the story unfurls,
Yeah.
and also as well as role play.
Little Super makes a good point here. Or an interesting one. I think alignment means different things to different people. For a paladin, I think they mean a lot since they take an oath. So do good. To
do good.
good.
I think
To do good, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, but then people make promises and, join organizations and then leave them. People
Right.
people
that's
leave
the
like
other
the
thing to keep in
church.
mind.
So,
Shit changes, right? Like, you can absolutely have a conversation and be like, I think my character's now chaotic neutral as opposed to regular neutral. Like, people change, things happen to them, right? As long as you don't think it's that old saying, alignment's not a straitjacket, right? Like, you're allowed to change and to move and become a new person. That's what events do to you. Like,
That's what life is, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, as long as there's events to it, I guess. As long as it's not like you turn around the next day, it's like, now I'm evil.
yep, I just
Now
decided. Yeah.
I just
if
woke
it
up one
follows the
day.
story, yeah.
Chaotic
Woke up one day
convenient.
and hate the world.
Yeah, exactly. Just Toby Maguire one day.
There actually is a time that I had to actually intervene as a GM and be like, hold on. I had a player who was playing a half. I think I mentioned him before. He was the half elf or the halfling. Excuse me. No elves in my campaign, please. He was playing a halfling thief, and he called himself like the lucky halfling. And it was a really cool like joke that he had and like interaction between him and the party when they first introduced him. Like he had a cigar. He played him like a Brooklyn. Like this Brooklynite. He's like, yeah, so I'm a lucky halfling, got to keep me around. And he flicked his cigar, and it flew into a nearby pile of straw, and started smoking them out of the room. He goes, "Up, we gotta go." And there's a really funny moment there, and
Nice.
like that happened, and then he was like, "Okay, we're gonna be right back," and they left to go smoke drugs, and then they came back, and then he was like, "Okay, I've got a really cool like plan for my character." I think I want him to like, he's gonna go like when things are quieted down, he's gonna go to like the corner, lay down, and take out his dagger and maybe like a mirror, and he's gonna start shaving his head. And I was like, what?
Why?
This is the same like Brooklynite character. And I was like, okay, why? And he's like, he's had like a change of heart, and he wants to like maybe like go find a monastery somewhere. And I was like,
Weird.
you, what? Sorry, like, what does your alignment say? Because I don't think, and like, let's go back through your character sheet. And I was like,
Just roll a new character.
yeah, I was like, just roll a new character. You don't want to play this
If you
guy.
want to
And-
play a monk, play a
yeah,
monk.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh my god. And I like had to go through the character sheet and actually like point out bits and pieces that like this character's already made. You've started role playing. We've
Yeah.
already told you that you're a lucky halfling who is a trap maker. So it's like, play this for a
Weird.
bit, and then we'll go back maybe think about it. And maybe there's like no reason for him to have a change of heart. There was no event.
Yeah.
It was like he introduced himself. We took a break. He came back and wanted to do this, and I was like, what?
I feel like you can blame the drugs on that one. You know
No,
what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but I
ridiculous.
was like, so I had to like not be like, you're on drugs, let's not do that because you're on drugs. I was just like, well, let's go through the character sheet and figure out why this isn't a really good idea and why this wouldn't actually work with the story that we've just
Right.
established.
Yeah. Of course. You have to be
Yeah.
democratic. about it,
Yeah. So
Uh,
don't do drugs,
Zoran
kids.
makes a good point. It's
Don't
just
do
I've never really liked, never been a fan of alignment for like a series of questions. I think that's true. Like I remember when Mitch, we entered Numenera the first session called.
Yeah.
Mitch asked a series of questions about our characters, and that's more helpful for character development
Yeah.
and
Oh,
thinking about who you are than like, oh, I'm lawful good. What does that even mean, lawful
Right.
good?
So abstract, you know.
Who's a lawful good person I know in real life? For
So it's also like I feel like in 5th edition, your ideals and bonds, flaws, and stuff kind of supersede your alignment. Use that
Yeah.
to determine how your character acts. And I love that inclusion in 5th edition. That makes you role play, like and you know, it makes you give some kind of depth to your character other than a sword swingy, you know, character number 75.
Agreed.
I actually want to bring up something that Ratrosphere did earlier today, as well as Delinear, when they created their characters tonight off of something called a life path method that you could find at Arcana Times, just by talking about character and like finding a character and even making some sort of backstory or something to start with. ArcanaTimes.com has a thing called the life path method. You roll a D100 and they break it down. They break it down all of the races you can be. You start. This is for Dungeons and Dragons. You start all of your abilities at 10, at base 10, and then when you roll your race, you gain bonuses that you can stat into there. So you get like as a hill dwarf, you get +2 in Constitution and +1
Right.
in Wisdom. So those are now, of course, a 12 and 11. And then from there, you roll a D100 12 times, and you pick a school, whether it's military, experience table, or if it's the academic path, and you roll a D100 on those charts. And each of those charts, let's say you roll a 68 on Hornbook's military path, and it says lifted a horse off a comrade that was cut down, +1 to strength. So you
Got
get
a link for that.
your
All
ability.
experiences.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you +1 to your strength, and now you're kind of building your character. It's a little more random, but also it gives it a really cool, intricate backstory to your character rather than being
And
like
like memories, like now you remember that.
exactly. You
when
remember
lift a
that.
horse.
You remember these cool things.
Yeah.
I
Do
believe
you
the
have a
druid,
link for that? Cool.
the druid he created. I don't have a link, but I can put it. I could send it to you, and you can maybe put it on the website, and we can
Okay.
probably we'll put it on the website and give credit where credit's due. But yeah, it's a really cool thing, and I think in Rastrosphere's druidic background tonight, he did. I think at one point he owned a pub for a month, and I'm like that's really cool. That,
Oh,
like,
wow,
that
what a
druid,
weird-
yeah,
that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So it's really cool, like backstory and things you can have rather than be like, I have no family.
Yeah,
right.
They were all
I'm the
killed.
underdog. I am a hunter out from the wild. Yeah, so it's like you could still have those backgrounds and stuff for the stats and things.
A ranger from the wild.
Yeah, really? What? I'm an elven ranger with a bow and blonde long hair. So, but yeah, that's just a really cool thing. I'll send that to you, Will.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
sounds cool.
Favorite traps? Anyone? I guess we go around quickly. I don't think I have a particular
Oh.
favorite trap.
I don't use traps often.
I
Maybe
um,
last time I think.
I had the party. They had to scale a. They were coming to like a black dragon's lair or something like that, where his minions lived. And there was this like giant like kind of hallway with all this water in it, and like a rope leading across. So it's like, okay, obviously we have to shimmy across the rope to get to the other side. But the water was like enchanted to where it wasn't in any way sort of buoyant. So if you fell in, you sank straight to the bottom of like the 15-foot deep thing of water, and you couldn't
Yeah,
like
sure.
swim up. And it
Oh,
was
yeah.
funny seeing everybody. Like
It's
when one
much
person,
lighter
it's
than
like
people.
yeah, it's like one person fell in, and then the other person jumped in after them. So the person who fell in first hopped up on the first person's shoulders and jumped out like so, and left
Yeah,
the
sure.
guy and helped him down in there. And it
Could
was,
they still breathe, or were they like slowly drowning?
No, they were slowly drowning. That's how the trap
Oh, that's
works.
ridiculous.
It's
Funny.
like boom, you're stuck and you can't swim upward. It's very fun.
The most memorable one I did was probably, again, I don't do them all the time either. The one that was like a legitimate, this is a trap that I did. I had a player lose their arm up to the elbow in a chest of annihilation. So looks like a normal chest. Open it up, stick the hand in, right, comes out, and it was wonderful because they were just noobs. So they like this whole group was a complete newbie party. So they didn't, you'd throw an Umber Hulk at them. We'd be like, oh my god, it's a cockroach gorilla. What the hell? You know what I mean? Like they have no idea what these
Gorilla.
things are. But it's what an Umber Hulk is a
Yeah,
four-legged cockroach. So I could do it a sphere of annihilation, and it just destroyed them. Like, what? What do you mean? It's destroyed? I'm like, yeah, it's just blackness. It's utter nothing. So, and that ended up being really memorable because then he had to walk around the rest of the campaign with like one arm, right? Like, so it wasn't like the best trap, but we kept talking about it all the time because like, well, remember that one time you stuck your hand in the
And
chest of an iron?
that could be a good trap. That can count as best trap because it's got some good. It's the first thing that came to your mind.
Came out of it, totally.
Yeah, and lots of great memories.
I agree. Demigod says, how do you keep veteran players honest with their characters as opposed to them being level 1 with no fear of anything? Rem.
Well, I don't really run into a lot of veteran players. What's interesting with me is like, I'll have
You're the veteran.
well, yeah, it's and like I'll have a lot of folks who they'll say, "Oh, we want to play with this expansion or try this," and I want to say, you haven't even gotten a character past level 3. Why reach for these supplements when you haven't even experienced 85% of the core set? So I really don't run into too many.
Corset. Will, you know about those, right?
Do you mean like the
That's a
player's
callback
handbook?
joke.
That you could win.
When you do exclamation point giveaway. I mean,
Yeah, not a corset.
not a corset. No, I don't know anything about that. So.
But
I find a good way to trick veterans is what we call it reflavoring, right? So you take a monster they would normally know, let's say the low level, and you need to have to fight ice methods or whatever. But rather than having it look like an ice method, it looks like a weird flying ice jellyfish. right? Like
Yeah.
they see it, like what the hell is that thing?
Yeah, I've
Know
never
what
seen
its
that.
powers are? Right? They don't know,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
You do that
I've done
all the
that
time.
so
With
much.
little cosmetic changes, and
How
it
would an
suddenly
ice
there's
jellyfish
nothing.
move?
I mean, presumably it's got that like jellyfish thing. It just
It's
flies
made of
around.
ice?
But it has ice-like powers, right?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It was a terrible example. I was just
No,
playing.
I now want to picture it.
He's gonna call you out on it, okay, Jim?
Excuse me.
Like, is it like,
Look
does
at
it
the
move
monster
rigid
manual.
like? It still does it, but
What
it's just
page
like,
the monster manual's out on?
It's
Yeah.
the flying ice jellyfish on.
Yeah, Bandit
which
Captain
we
and the
have.
Monster. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's that idea. You just reflavor
Yeah.
it until it's unrecognizable.
Yeah, that Bandit Captain in the Monster Manual has been so many other Black Dragonborn characters
Nice,
that
yeah.
the party gets tangled up with, and actually, I can remember. Speaking of veteran players, I think it was when you were doing a Sun Goes Down session. Will they were fighting the Merfolk, and one of the guys straight up busted out the Monster Manual. I was like, okay, the Merfolk. Okay,
Yeah.
he's got. I hit him. Yeah, he's
I
like, I
remember
hit him.
that.
And I was thinking, what is this guy doing? What are you doing? Bust out that Monster Manual. You didn't pass the nature check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even
Ouch.
that.
Metagaming.
Not even that past the nature check. That's cheating. That's just
Yeah, it's just like
Even if you pass the-
metagaming
Straight up.
out the hind. It's like
maybe that's something we
if
could touch upon metagaming as well.
Yeah, I'll quickly let me say something about veteran players keeping them honest rather than first level characters.
Yes, yes.
Because the only real experience I've had of that was with the Game of Thrones game, which we played for Song of Ice and Fire, a role-playing game for 2 hours. 2 hours.
2 hours.
2 years. We
was
played for
great.
2 hours. I mean,
I was
they're
just saying,
advanced.
wow, that
Yeah.
sounds fun.
It was pretty quick progression. No, yeah, about 2 years, and that was. I guess it gets to a point almost like TV shows where your characters become caricatures of themselves if you're not careful, of
Yeah.
themselves even.
Oh,
They
yeah, that's very
they
true.
almost become set into the tropes that they're going to do because that's what they've always done. So that is thing. I think we're going to return to it at some point, but I'm considering because I basically reached top tier. I'm considering setting it a period of time later, several years, and having them actually level down to bring them back to that sort of realism where you're
Yeah.
not super good anymore. You might have lost a step due to age.
That's cool.
Do we want to touch on metagaming, God?
Sure. I just wanted to like
Touch it.
just touch
Just a
it
tip.
like a little bit.
Just on the
Caress,
tip, maybe?
caress the top of it.
Just
Rest.
caress metagaming a little.
Yeah, just maybe under its chin.
I want to.
so the
I want to bitch slap it.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, just talk about what it is and
Evil.
how we can even prevent it. I was talking with someone the other day who plays D&D, but he's new to it. He plays it all the time. He's a dungeon master regularly on his VoIP actually, and he was like, "Wait, you said metagaming? What is that?" So I just wanted to touch upon, make sure everybody knows what that is, and it's pretty much just cheating, really. It's you don't in checkers move your piece ahead or move your piece back when the other person's not looking because it's cheating. Metagaming is just a fancy term of cheating. You can. Oh, okay, you see 3 skeletons in front of you. Okay, cool. And then you see somebody whip out the monster manual, or even be like, okay, I'm going to actually, and you're level 1, so you wouldn't know these things. I'm going to actually sheath my sword and take out my hammer, or use a stick and try to beat him, because I know that bludgeoning is going to do more damage. It's like, that's metagaming.
It's using like outside knowledge.
Yeah, it's
right,
using
that your
it's
character
using
wouldn't have.
player knowledge to
Influence
give
in
bonuses
character
to
decisions.
Yeah.
influence your character's decisions and knowledge, and it's not, and it's like it's nerdy to be like they're 2 separate people, but it really
true.
kind of is. I mean,
Yeah.
there's 2 separate characters. You are controlling this imaginary character. This imaginary character, if you're role playing, let's role play the fact that he doesn't know this knowledge. He doesn't know there's a trap there. Yeah, he's played through this encounter so many times.
Right.
Today, Will metagame. No, I'm kidding. Will played with. We were playing Circus and Furnace, and he knows everything that was going to happen. He knew what should have happened, what shouldn't have, how things were going. But he was a player, and he played along because he didn't metagame.
Yeah, whereas if I had been metagaming, I might have been like, right, oh, this guy who's gonna betray us.
Yeah,
Like, kill
I'm
him
gonna
already
stab
because
him,
he's
yeah.
gonna betray us.
Like,
That
come
guy's
out-
a
yeah.
traitor, just
Yeah.
based on nothing,
And
right?
didn't know I
Finbar
read
and the
book.
Finbards, and then like Finbar walks out and stabs him in the back
yeah.
because I know what's gonna happen. That would be metagaming right there. So I, just
I,
wanted to touch
I
upon
think I
it, make sure everybody knows what
made
it
a
is.
joke for it. My character's like, Bartholomew, where are we going here? He's like, oh, we've got this thing. And I'm like, that sounds like a terrible idea. It's like, oh no, it's gonna be good, but it can only end badly, Bartholomew. Like, oh no.
Yeah. And then everybody's like, yeah, this is, and then everybody's immediately on Finbar. Which, yeah, we don't know about this.
Yeah.
Bartholomew was like, it's fine. Shut up. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. But that's what metagaming is, guys. If you have any questions about it,
Suspending
just
your
don't
disbelief.
freaking do it.
I think there's like another sort of more insidious species of metagaming I've encountered where the players try to guess like my intention. Like, I don't really think he wants us to go down that quest, or I think he
yeah.
wants us to talk to this guy. You know what I mean? Which is like it's like well intentioned. They're trying to like follow your plot,
Yeah,
but
it's
you
like
don't necessarily
meta-theory.
want that to be the motivation, right? It shouldn't
Yeah.
be coming from their characters. Like, I encounter that one a lot. Like, is this where we're supposed to be? I'm like, you're not supposed to be anywhere.
That's
like,
true,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah. They get
Yeah.
really concerned about what I'm intending or what I'm
That one
planning.
is
which-
hard because there are times you want something to happen,
Yeah, right.
and you're
that's
excited
like
for. Oh, sweet! Please go into that room. Please go into that room. Yeah. So
what
you
a
guys,
great
you guys
problem
move into
to
that
have.
room, or
Like, they just
yeah.
desperately want to do your adventure, right? Like, what a silly thing to complain about. But
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it can kind of get in the way. Yeah.
It's not the spirit of it. Yeah. What about you, Rem? Metagamers.
Metagamers. Well, fortunately, a lot of the folks that I play with aren't super seasoned. Although
they don't know.
although I
Well, Susan.
I'm okay with people who want to like if you have a cleric, yeah, I'll probably who has like the turn and dead ability. That cleric will probably know that a bludgeoning weapon will take out a skeleton more so than other things, just because it's a cleric. And I've found and a lot of folks will actually say, oh, like I'm a ranger. Do I know like what this beast or something does? Now I say, well, make a nature check or something like that.
Yeah.
If it's something really kind of if it's like a wild boar or a bird or a squirrel, then I'll probably like, yeah, you know what it does. It's like you're not just a total idiot who does the alligator, does it eat meat? Will it hurt me? Yeah, you know that. It's like, so that's another thing as well, I guess, is determining what is a given for the characters and what requires a dice roll.
Yeah, and that's good too. Like, yeah, if they want to use this knowledge that they have, they've maybe read through the book. Yeah, they want to. They know they want to show off to their friends that they know what to do here. Maybe you can do some dice roll, whether it's like an intelligence or some sort of history or religion or something to maybe possibly give them some sort of hint to the character, rather than be like, okay, maybe you heard before that something
Right.
about a bludgeoning weapon you don't remember, or some type of weapon you're not quite sure. So it's like you could hint at certain things that maybe they already know, and then they can fiddle it out
Right,
and do it
yeah.
that way. But it's
And
you have to know
like a
it,
smart
how
player
can
will
you
say
do
that. Will
So
be
it's
like,
metagaming.
does my character know? Is there a check I can roll to see if I would know
Yeah.
that trolls hate fire? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you get a lot of players who know that, but
Would I
they
have
don't. They
known
want
that?
to
Yeah.
try to justify it in their character, and that's how you can kind of tell that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and you're like, you're level 1, you've never seen a troll in your life. So,
Right.
like, yeah.
And at the same time, like if you give hints out, like if someone like says like us burning hands on the troll, mention that fire looks like it did a good bit of
Yep.
damage,
Uh-huh. Exactly.
and let them learn like that, and that gives
yeah.
them those moments of, oh, guys, do this. That's what you want to kind of build
Yeah,
is that
those aha
tension.
moments.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
figuring out strategies on the fly. Yeah, and changing them is cool to see.
It's a lot more fun than, well, you know this about a troll. Well, you know this about that. Let the first guy shoot the skeleton with an arrow. Say, well, that arrow, it just kind of gets lodged.
Doesn't
You
go
hit him
right, yeah.
perfect, but it like gets lodged in his ribs, man, because it's a skeleton. And then, okay, I gotta do something else. They'll try ball, try this.
Yeah, yeah.
Let them piece
That's
it together.
absolutely the
so
right strategy. Yeah.
roll a check.
Legit says using blunt damage, I guess he's talking about, against skeletons isn't metagaming, in my opinion. There is a point where you have assumed knowledge for growing up in a world of such creatures in existence. Agree? Disagree?
It's a fair
Yeah,
rule.
depends-
I mean,
Makes
It's a
sense.
fair ruling. It depends on what kind of setting. It could be a
Yeah.
homebrew
Yeah.
setting where skeletons are a common thing that they just have to. Right, I gotta go to work. It's actually gotta go out and beat the skeletons off our front lawn like that. Yeah, if that's a thing, and it's that common, then it's like, well,
Do you-
well,
do you
son,
think we-
you have to beat it with the shovel.
Yeah.
Then
Do you
then-
do you think we have that like we have that assumed that oh yeah, of course you just beat up skeletons because it's so in our culture that skeletons rise up and because you know
Yes.
because we play so much
Right.
D&D, we are such.
I
geeks,
would
so
not know how to
we
beat up a
know.
skeleton.
Yeah. If
I
a
mean, like,
skeleton-
I think there's a certain amount of common knowledge, though. Like, let's say you're fighting, the 5th edition has a scarecrow, right? Like, my instinct if I see a scarecrow is like fire. It's made of hay. Like, I think there's a
Yeah.
certain amount of that you can
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah.
It's just where's the line, right? Like, do you know that a Rakshasa has spell immunity? No, why would you, right? Like, you've never seen a
Now I
Rakshasa.
do. That's the things
Right.
you learn in DM
Exactly.
Tavern. So go
But
metagame,
that,
guys.
like a skeleton is still something you would break with a bone. Like I could still see
Yeah.
the argument that a blunt weapon would work better. Like it's just I don't know if they can make a good argument for it, I'll let them have it. Basically,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's common sense. Yeah, they wouldn't know the weaknesses, but they would know maybe
Maybe some strengths.
how it can work and strategy. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
like
And I think Rem had it perfectly. Like let them try it and then give them
Yeah.
clues. That's the best way to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you guys feel about letting the players have races outside of typical elf, dwarf, etc., like orcs and other monster manual intelligent groups like gnolls or something similar?
I am very much about, bring that up to me first before you make it,
yeah,
because
Oh, yeah.
like I've like when my Pathfinder days, it's like okay, let's play Pathfinder. Okay, you're a half demon, you're a
Yeah.
fairy, you're this, and it's just kind of like, there are several RPGs out there that specialize in a group of monsters. And at the same time, it's just when everything is so specialized and so weird, the party almost can't accomplish as much as if they just kind of toned back and took the more broad spectrum. But if there's like a few, like just one or two more monstrous things, and I mean like, I don't mean like a tiefling, I mean like a gnoll or something like that. Then I'm okay. But like if the whole, unless it's like let's all make gnolls and we'll like be a gnoll raiding party, that's awesome to me.
Right,
But if it's you got the gnoll, the lizard folk, the half genie, and the sentient sword is who it's kind of like. Well, this is an interesting party. I'm gonna see what I can do to make this. Because I mean, if you
Right,
do
yeah.
any kind of civilized town, they're throwing you out.
yeah.
The
absolutely.
caravan guards mission doesn't work so good with those guys. Yeah.
We're here to guard your caravan. Oh,
You're a
are
minotaur.
you?
What?
Caravan.
You can't see me under my hood. You can't see the horns, can you? We can see the horns. Oh.
Oh.
I'm horny. Cool. Tim, do you have any particular problems or?
To me, it's more like I mean, I fucking hate lizard folk.
Elves.
No,
Hit 'em.
Elves. Not even-
Elves.
Damn
I like
scalies. Get them out of
Hit
here.
elves.
No, I'm just anal about my worlds. So like, if I have created a world where the Minotaur are just one of the races, they're just one of the people, then go for it. It bothers me sometimes someone comes in with this ridiculous. I'm a half demon, half dragon, were lion. I'm like, there's no room
It's
for
like,
that.
have you really played
Like,
that much D&D to where that's the characters
Yeah,
you have to
right.
take?
Exactly.
Oh my god.
So
that's
it's
an awesome
like-
character.
If I can
I want to
find
play
a
that character.
Yeah.
What
In
kind
the
of crazy
world.
shit were your parents into, man?
yeah, exactly. Like, how
Yeah.
do you even do that?
I was raised by wolves.
By
I
wolves.
was bitten by a wolf. I was bitten by a lion.
You were bitten by a radioactive were-lion. Yeah.
That's right.
It happens, man.
If
So
Spider-Man
yeah, if I can
bit
get
somebody,
work
would
in
it be
the world,
Spider-Man?
then I'm all about it. But otherwise, like I tend to kind of I present my racial options. Like, these are the options. If you really have a crazy idea, let me know. But I would
Yeah.
prefer it if we would kind of stick in the margins. I'm just a little too my world. You know what I mean about that stuff.
There.
Which I should try to be better about, but because it's all about making sure they're having fun. If the only way they have fun is if they can play a half dragon, half demon, were lion, then you know what I mean. I got to be a little more flexible.
Yeah. If you want them in the group, that is.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, easy one. Favorite monsters. This one always gets asked
Oh.
at some point or other.
I like swarms of little things with like range weapons, like kobolds, goblins.
Yeah, swarms
Just,
are good.
you know, it really makes you can get 10 kobolds with crossbows, and still ruin like a group of like level 6 party members' days, because especially if you play the kobolds like the party like you know like they're actually kind of got some military strategy. Like okay, let's all shoot that guy in the back who doesn't have armor and run. You know,
Yeah.
like there was like a popular thing called like Trevor's Kobolds or something like that, where I might post the link up on Twitter, where this guy wrote this huge thing about there's this DM we have. He can throw dragons at us. He can throw these great big beholders at us. We're fine with that. It's his damn kobolds, because he'll have where the kobold it's like a jigsaw just trap level thing where they're pulling levers and stuff like that. And so there's so many of these little small bastards
Yeah.
that just will turn around and quiver you up just because 1d6 plus 3 done like, you know, 10 times, it can hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite monster, Tim?
I like the Kraken. I like the combination of the like weird alien creature that you can't understand, the fact that it's super smart, and the fact that it's a giant sea monster. Like the combination of those three things, like a little bit of Cthulhu, a little bit of Jules Verne, a little bit of just giant solo monster. It's to me, I love them as like big campaign villains because they're just weird enough, but also difficult to fight in combat. And you don't know what they're about down there. Like I don't know. I'm a big sucker for sea monsters, and particularly the Kraken is my favorite for
And
sure.
when you say Kraken, you mean just a weird way of saying Kraken, right?
Kraken is actually the pronunciation. Kraken is the Norwegian pronunciation, and I am not a Norwegian, so I don't say Kraken.
Nice.
Kraken.
But the people, but us in chat who pronounce it wrong, that's
Kraken, Kraken, and Kraken are all
yeah,
basically.
Kraken. Ugh.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Kraken.
anyway.
Kraken
Awesome.
Locket.
Yeah, I was like, what's a Kraken? That sounds. Oh, it's a Kraken. Okay.
For me, probably like
Yeah, I was like,
elephant.
is that a croc dragon? What is that? That's
a croc
a smaller
yeah.
dragon.
It's a kraken on.
The Dracodile
For
from
all
Iron
credit.
Kingdoms.
Yeah, I'm like, that's just a crocodile that breathes fire.
Elephants.
What do you think,
Yeah,
man?
cool.
Illithids are really cool. Is that your
Suck
thing?
your mind up.
Ooh, yeah, that's up there too.
Yeah,
Suck
that
out your
paralyze
mind.
you and then bring you close and just gnaw on your brain. Yeah,
can't-
those are
I
terrifying.
can't
yeah,
pick
yeah.
one. I always think like, ooh, what about that? You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
the parts. Monsters are just the best.
Yeah, I like the beholder. I have yet to play it and throw it at anybody because I don't play a high enough game to, and hopefully I will soon. Thank you so much, The Devil Risen, to follow for hosting.
Yeah, cheers, dude.
Thanks, buddy.
Welcome back as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're crazy because like you can, what is it, anti level, whatever that is. You can knock somebody's level down,
Yep.
which just seems like a hassle because you're like, all right, I gotta go.
Yeah,
through the
that
character
seems like
sheet,
such
knock
a
that down.
hassle. Yeah.
God,
It's gonna be
no.
temporary, so just save that file. But yeah, it seems really cool, and I'd love to see somebody like a party take on this this weird warp beast of magic,
Yeah.
like pure evil magic. I think it'd be so cool. I'm a fan of the Beholder, as well as
Totally.
the Rakshasa.
They're fun.
Star is back from earlier. And he asked a quick question. We have kind of dealt with this one. I'll just quickly touch on it for you. What are the negative or extra problems you have to deal with playing gaming on Twitch? I mean, obviously, like I think we talked about like the stress of having an audience and having to juggle a million things on Roll20.
Cams,
Cameras are a nightmare. Technical difficulties, stuff like that. People
Time.
dropping from calls.
camera, character sheet,
Yep.
data.
General stress on 24 hours streams like this. Pretty
Awake.
Yep, staying awake, but it's pretty fucking stressful, this entire thing, I find. Stay like after I'm off, you guys, I was in chat for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah,
Because I was
still watching.
still up and you're still on that adrenaline and it's just still
Yeah.
stressing
Like, oh,
about
man,
what
I'm
can
so
happen.
tired, and then
Yeah,
you log
but
off
at
and
the
go,
same time, it's like, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I guess everything which you do offline from the actually playing, because the amount of work that me and Cord have to put in offline, that we're doing, things we're working on, things we're writing, people we're talking to, people we're networking with,
Yeah,
artwork we're doing,
It's a lot of
overlays
work.
we're doing,
It's a
prepping
lot of work
for
making
games.
one of these The 24 hours, booking
Oh,
all those
God.
slots. Yeah.
Because everyone's so busy. Everyone's got different schedules and times. You've got to work around each other. That's pretty stressful.
Dark
I
Moon
guess
88.
yeah.
88.
Cheers, dude.
Thank you so much for the follow, man.
The other thing would be douchebags on the internet, I guess.
Yeah.
But not too many of those actually in the D&D Twitch community so far. I mean, it's pretty small, but
It's true. Yeah.
like if you were streaming like League of Legends or something like that, you'd find loads of dickheads everywhere. But luckily everyone in chat is lovely.
Dickheads
So
falling out of the sky. Yeah.
the thing that's pissing me off is people that come into chat and are rude to the females in groups. That really
Yeah,
that
I've seen
really.
that
Oh.
happen.
Yeah. It's
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 I've seen Beth get some flack before.
Yeah, Beth
Yep.
gets flack. Women on internet, unfortunately, have a harder time sometimes, and then in other ways they have an easier time. But
Yeah.
it's just that's annoying.
That's unfortunate.
But it's very rare. I mean, it's very rare. So
That's good.
it's okay. There's another question. How do you guys, as DMs, feel about players other than playing? Wait, I have to read this again. Other than class features like rangers having combat type pets. Okay, so how do we feel about players having combat pets if they're not rangers?
Oh.
Oh, you've gone a bit of a robot there.
If they're not rangers.
Yeah. Aside from like class stuff like druids, rangers.
Like Peasant Joe's donkey. Not really a combat pet, but
It's not
I
really
think,
a big
like-
deal for me.
Oh, robot.
ooh,
Yep. Roger.
Roger.
It was perfect before when you were like Roger, and I was like yes. But it's not a big deal for me. If you want to play a rogue that has an eagle as a pet, cool. That's awesome. That's really cool. That's a different character than all of the other rogues I've seen. So play it. Rangers, it stinks that Rangers have this class that you can put a combat pet to, because then there's so much story of how'd you get that pet, how did you tame that pet, it took you a long time to do that, right? Tell me about it. Oh, you just have it. Oh, okay. So it's like it kind of stinks that you could like just start with a pet with that character, and if you wanted to start with another pet, like let's say a wizard, not wizards have familiars, yeah, so like I said, like a fighter maybe with a bear, which would be crazy, but why not? That sounds cool. You make sense right in your backstory, and you can have a bear. It's cool, and now it's an NPC for me to roleplay. Now I'm a bear. So I think it's a lot of opportunity for cool story as well. So,
Yeah.
but that's my 2 cents. I had a lot of games in 3.5. I was a huge 3.5 guy until obviously last year when 5th came out. I dodged 4th and I was 3.5. Pathfinder came out. I played a little bit, didn't care. Went back to 3.5 because I had all the books. But and I had tons of players who wanted different pets, panthers for druids and crazy things. So I'm fine with that. I think it's
Yeah.
if-
I mean,
it's tied to
you know
the
me,
character.
Gord. I don't really give a fuck about rules. If
yeah, same here.
to be honest, if someone had like a really cool pitch for some kind of pet,
Yeah, you have to sell it.
yeah, sell it to me. Yes, and yes, and it has a cool thing about it which I can
Yeah.
torture you with later. Because basically, it's just another way for me to torture a player, which it's fine. It's fine by me
give them
as long
something
you
you
know.
can take away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Timothy,
Oh, you have family?
Are you sure?
Are you
Oh, you
sure
don't have
there
family,
is-
but you have this pet? Oh, all right.
Oh, you bought this tavern, did you?
Ah, excellent.
Timothy or Rem, you guys have any thoughts on the combat pet out of class
Let's see.
manner?
I'm okay with it, but like one of my buddies, we're starting up a little mini campaign for something we were going to put on YouTube, and he was a level 3 ranger, and he wanted to have like a hawk and a tiger, and I was like, well, I'm gonna let you pick one because
Yeah.
both of those can add because he'll get it from going Beastmaster, but it's like both of those can add some extreme, can totally change fights. Do you want like the hawk which scouts, or do you want the tiger which can tear people up? I kind of had to. I can't just give you the whole menagerie and let you be Ace Ventura running around unless something happens in the game.
I would love that.
We do some like animal handling checks, and because if you get like a tiger, and if it's not part of your ranger beastmaster, you got to feed this thing. You got to make sure it doesn't attack your friends. It's a tiger. It is a tiger.
That's kind of how I feel about it too. Is that it's got to be like if it's not a class ability, you got to put in the work at the table. Like show me that you're devoting time to like really rearing this wolf pup, and then sure I'll let you have like a dire wolf.
Do you walk it? Do you
Yeah,
If
you know what I mean? Like really,
can't take care of your pet.
I'll take it away. But I mean, if they invest in time, they say, "No, I'm gonna make this a real big part of my character." Then, all right, you earned it, man. Fine. I don't know how much of a thing it'll help you in combat, but absolutely, if it furthers your character, go for it.
Yeah. If they have like an emotional one,
Totally.
for narrative reasons, that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Mm.
But generally, Wizards of the Coast are pretty careful to make sure that pets in general are not overpowered. Certainly in 4th edition, they were not particularly useful. You're having to use your action for them to make attacks, and similarly in 5e, you're pretty limited to what you're actually able to do with them.
Right.
And so they're not overpowered
Breaking
as
the game,
such.
you know?
Yeah, they're not going to break
Yeah.
the game. So
Send them in to die.
For me, it's
Yeah.
less about overpower and more about just slowing the game down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You both have to do stuff, and okay, I have to track 2 things of hit points. It's not like, oh, you're so powerful with your fucking hawk. It's more about like, okay, now we got to do your hawk every round. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. The other thing was in our West Marches campaign, they've come across a wyvern via decision, and this wyvern is now being semi-tamed, befriended by one of the PCs. But obviously, West Marches, I pretty much draw anything that comes my way, and it's like, yeah, sure, that happens. But it has the caveat that the wyvern doesn't like combat. It's a sad one. It doesn't have much self-confidence, and so it's not going to be like, oh, cool, I come into and I murder every one of my wyverns sort of thing. It's like the wyvern doesn't really want to get involved with too much.
We actually have a donation from Writing Unicorn Sue.
Hey, got on Sue.
She donates £1 and says smiley face. So smiley face back to you. Thank you so much.
Right back at you, Sue. Cheers. She's been firing mad shots all night long. I think maybe she's apologizing. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. Do you want to give one of inspiration? No, but thank you so much. That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah. I was doing something, but now I've entirely forgotten what I was doing.
I looked up a cool one as well. Are you Do you have one lined up? A question lined up?
Yeah, no, I have 2 in fact. What kind of detail do you have in your homebrew before you start a campaign in it? Pretty broad one, I guess.
I actually learned recently. If you want a full story adventure, or if you want it's what's working for me at least, is if you have a cool story for a world, cool, flesh out the world, but don't put anybody in it unless you have some sort of quest ready.
Yeah.
I've done that where I'm like, I've got this cool story, I've got this cool lore, I've got this cool history. Playing it, and then I tried, and it didn't quite work. I needed to lead players through, especially new players. I needed to lead them through sandbox, which didn't work. And that is another thing that you should probably discuss if you want to play sandbox or not. And if you wanted to write something, it's good to think about the conflict first and then write backwards. All right, what's the end? What's the end? What is the point? And then you can write backwards. I used to write the other way, and I'd be like, all right, this would be a cool interaction. That'd be a cool quest. And I'd do this, and then wait, why did I? Oh boy, I'm lost. So if I was, and it threw me off that way rather than I have an end goal, work back. You could always foreshadow to that still end goal later. That works for me. For my mind, that is full of attention deficit. But how does that work for everybody else?
Tim, you said you like world creation.
Yeah, that's like my jam, man. I'm all about it. So like I will spend a lot of time just putzing around and making a world and coming up with cool little places. And like that's what will excite me. Like, oh, I love this island or this area. Like maybe I'll set it here. And I just keep fiddling until there's so many everywhere they turn. It's like, oh, there's this NPC or there's this thing. And I almost treat everything like a sandbox to a certain extent.
Yeah.
When they're new, it's a little different. My last campaign I ran were like all completely new players. So the first sort of 10 levels or so, I had to kind of, here's a quest and here's kind of what you're about. But once we got
First
past
10
that
levels or so. That's awesome.
well, it's a 30 level campaign, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Wow. So cool.
So for the first like bit of it, and again, they never played any kind of D&D before at all.
Yeah.
But once they sort of got over that, over the first arc, then I was able to just open up the world. Like, you guys know the place. Where do you want to go? What was the coolest part from before? Remember this place? Go there again. See what they're doing. Like, that's what I like. I like to just lay out this huge map and say, click on that thing. What's there? Yeah, cool. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I like to let them feel like it's totally three-dimensional. So I'll just build and build and build and build and build and build, which is probably not the best way to do it. It's just what fulfills me the most.
No, yeah, and like I do the same thing. I'm like, oh, this would be really cool. And the Sekla game, I actually thought of years ago. I was like, what if there was like this cool town that was just overrun by goblins? I'm like, that'd be really cool. Why would that happen? And then I had to think about, okay, why would that happen? Why now, blah blah blah, and think about the story behind it. But I had this cool setting, and I always wanted to use it, but I never knew when to throw it in.
Yeah, it was cool.
Thank you. But like that, I would have probably, I wanted to throw that in years ago, and if I did, I wouldn't have had anything to do it because I didn't think of a quest. I didn't think of the lore, what to do with it.
Yeah. What about you, Rem? Because you write modules, what the kind of details that you'd put into your homebrew?
I found when homebrewing to not go ultra crazy on the side details unless you're writing something to publish, because it's look at this great world I've done. Oh, you just walked through the town and bought like a banana and that's it.
Absolutely.
One banana, please. Thank
yep,
you. We must
yep.
be off.
And sandbox wise, I found what really helped. I did this with one of my kind of like a little pirate adventure that I had going. Was there were like several quest hooks, and I didn't end a session when they completed the quest. I ended the session when they decided on what their next quest would be. That way, boom, I know what to build. And if we meet up and they say we want to do this instead, I can give them that whole. No, we had a thing, man. You said you wanted to go out to try and find the lost cannon from this ship, and that's what's in this stack of papers. You can't. I want to just don't want to do that. I want to do this other thing instead, because so the party kind of knows. Let me know what you want to do next module. I'll set it up.
That's pivotal. That's huge. That was totally a thing we did too. Is at the end of every session, what are we doing next week? Absolutely. Especially make sandbox work. You gotta have that.
Yeah. Cool. How many games of 5e have you guys played? GM'd? Does the limited class character customization lead to too many tropes? That's an interesting one.
Well, I don't think that it's a very limited class or character customization. You have what? 8 or 9
I guess comparing to
races?
comparing to the end of 4e, well, that stood with the amount of supplement books compared to where we are now with 5th edition relatively shortly into its lifespan.
Makes me happy saying the end of 4e. Oh man, it's like.
I never played it. I heard it was not the best.
I love 4e. 4th edition is a brilliant system. Can't hear
I'm
anything.
right there
against
with
it.
you, man. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
It's a cool system. It's just I just didn't call it D&D, but it was just like it just didn't feel like D&D to me. But
Which is
it's
fair.
a cool system. Yeah, I mean.
To me, I don't know. The rules are all secondary. It's D&D.
Yeah.
If there's 4 people playing
That's
a game.
true. Yeah,
I don't
but
give a
everywhere
shit.
I played 4e, it was just min-maxers who wanted to play a video game with their friends on a miniatures board.
That was
So,
its common.
Yeah, but it was.
See for me, 3.5 was super min-maxy, nerdy,
Yeah.
ruly.
Yeah.
No, it was.
Kill me now, sort
of.
of.
Yeah, it
Pathfinder
definitely
and all that,
was.
yeah.
I didn't understand it, so I played it much
Right.
like 5th edition plays. And then my friend who I met and played with through high school was much smarter than I was and understood all of 3.5.
Right.
So he would come in with these like min-maxed characters, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?" And he's
Why?
like, "Well, I could do that. I'm a drow. You said I could be a drow. He's actually has a level adjustment of +4, but you said I could do it. So I actually acted as a level 3 at level 1, but you also said I could be a monk, so I could flurry of blows, so I could do this." And I'm like, what?
God, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "You said I could be a prestige class as well." And I was like, "God damn it, all these freaking books." But yeah, it was crazy.
Are you limited to so many tropes with 5e though?
It's looking at the book, being like, "Oh wow, these are the classes, these are the races." Yeah, it looks like it, but actually, what it really comes down to is you've got that whole backgrounds chapter.
Yes.
That you have. It's cool because you don't gain. You give you 1 or 2 skills when you right in the class. You choose two of the 4 or the 6 that we have. You have 2 to start with, unless you're a rogue. You probably have like 4. And then you go and you into the backgrounds chapter, and then that's when you can be like, okay, what made this character? And you find the coolest background, and then you add that stuff to your skills as well, and then so now you've got a cool character. So you actually now have a background, a race, and a class. So that's like more like 3 things there, and of course weapons and stuff and how you fight as well can be thrown in there. And then if you're a damage dealer like a mage or something, you have all these spells that you can customize. So it like plain and simple flipping through it, yeah, it looks like it, but when you really think about it, through the book, I'm not even talking about character and like character choice and what region they're from. Tonight I have played a human warlock, which I've played before, but I wanted to play a different character, so I just played him as an Italian, and so it's like, so that was a lot of fun too. It's just it's a role playing game. You can broaden these simple rules of 5e into any sort of unique character you'd like.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
I think that the backgrounds, especially I love the idea that you could attach any background to any class, right? That like that's kind of how the way the races work. You can be any race class combination. But just thinking about, you can be a fighter who used to be an academic. You can be, a rogue who used to be a priest. Like all these ridiculous. Now I think opens it up so much to the point where you can almost have infinite combinations.
Absolutely.
Don't you hate those games that are like, oh, you want to be an orc? Well, you can't play a priest. You can't play a cleric.
Yeah.
I hate those sort of things. Like,
So they have no religion. They're just
It's like,
exactly.
oh, fuck you! I'm doing it.
You don't know my life.
Yeah, you don't know my story. But I would say that I wouldn't. I think possibly because we play 5e so much, Gord. Like, I play 5e more than I know most people play 5e, aside from other streamers, and we overload on D&D 5e sort of thing. So the amount of games that we play, not just as a DM, but like, you're playing with a cast of characters that after a while they all seem to look a little bit similar. They're all playing similar classes, similar, race and stuff. Yeah. So I would, and I know it's going to happen. There's going to be an expansion to the rules and new classes, new races, and I'm looking forward to that, just to freshen things up a bit, really, just to.
Of course, yeah.
Just to.
And something for us to.
For the sake of looking at something else after a while,
Yeah. Looking through the rule book, you're like, I've seen this page before.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because it's been what,
systems do you guys play? Like, you say you just mainline fifth. Like, there are other things you could do to cut the. If you're just getting bored of rogues.
Well, we do Numenera on Mondays.
Yeah.
Numenera's
really
actually
nice
last season. Numenera is actually awesome. The Cipher system is really cool, and I'm probably going to run a game in it later down the road. It's just so simple. Like, if you think about D&D being simple, this is a yes or no kind of system. It's really cool.
Before I heard of you guys, I'd never heard of it before. So.
Yeah. Tune in on.
I'll check it out.
Delinear brought it up, and we're like, okay, and then we played it, and we're like, this is sick.
Awesome.
But yeah, check us out on YouTube. We've got our Numenera games are all there. But yeah. Also check out Experience Points Below Me. They are a web series that was starting up on YouTube 2016.
Yeah.
What else? What was I about to say? We just last season we did Stars Without Number as well.
That's right.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a sandbox that slowly turned into an adventure, but
cool.
But mostly.
I don't think we. I'm sick of 5 or anything. It's just compared to some people, might not play it so much and haven't gotten through so many classes, races, and stuff. In comparison,
we just had a lot of fun with it too.
Yeah.
It's a testament to how much you enjoy it when you play that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you want more because.
Because we don't play for the rules. If we played for the rules, we get bored of the rules. But we play for the story, and the story is different every day.
Yeah. Totally.
So, and like that's why we probably stay to the same system, because like if we master the system, we can really focus on the story.
That makes
with
sense.
new classes and races comes new ideas for stories and
Yeah.
groups of people and communities. That all that stuff comes with it.
I
Uh,
found also to keep things from getting stale, like the kind of campaign, little mini campaign I'm doing with my group is the kind of restrictions I put on them is there's a dwarf camp, an elf camp, and here's like 8 classes. That's what you pick from, and so it's going to kind of determine, where in this world do you start from. And it's kind of to show them where you can have a party that's just mountain dwarves and high elves, but you can have everything be totally different, even with, a few things to pick from. It just depends on how you play. So,
Definitely, yeah,
we'll
yeah,
see
yeah.
how that turns out.
Yeah, Nick saying Shadowrun. That's a good game.
It is fun.
We were playing
The
Blades
thing
in the
is,
Dark earlier too.
Ooh, I
yeah,
love
yeah,
Blades in the Dark. That's a
that
cool
was
one.
a lot of fun. It's always fun that game.
Was-
I was really tired at that point.
Yeah.
But the
It always seems around Blades in the Dark, a clock here was like.
I'm dying. I die around Blades in the Dark. I always enjoy it though.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a great
it's
game.
awesome. But you're just like that chapter or that time frame in the day. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
Which is fine because your character kind of doesn't really give a fuck anyway. So
Yeah,
it's like you're just like,
he's
wait,
quite
blah blah
bad.
blah blah blah. You do like you extravagant role playing, and then fuck shit
And then-
up because you're like, whoops. Yeah, you're like just leaning back in your chair, clicking the button. But yeah, it's
but,
always fun and entertaining to watch.
yeah.
Corey John, thank you so much for the follow.
Oh,
You are a
thanks, dude.
gentleman
Welcome.
and a scholar. All right, I'll shut up.
One of the reasons why I play so much 5e is simply its popularity on Twitch. If you play, as we found out on the Wednesday nights of Stars of Outnumber, interesting. I'm trying to find a link to it, but there was a Roll20 released a document thing today, the other day, which was a percentage of what is played on Roll20. I looked at it. Stars of Outnumber was like 1.5% or something. So actually, it's quite a small amount of people actually
Yeah.
play it because so many people play D&D and then 3.5 and then 4e and stuff like that.
Right.
And so the reason that you end up playing a lot of 5e is because everyone here, a lot of people
Yeah.
have just bought a book or want to play D&D 5e, and you end up playing a lot of it. But there are some great other kind of variety pen and paper streamers out there who don't probably get enough exposure that they deserve, such as AP Gaming Real. Arthur over there, I'll do a little shout thing, but he does. He plays so many different games. They play Edge of the Empire. They play Blades in the Dark. They play Mutants and Masterminds. They play everything. They play Game of Thrones. So
Right.
they play a lot of games there. But I guess unfortunately that means they don't get as many views or such a following. But
I think that's another.
It
really
would
good
be
way to,
nice.
like,
Go ahead.
to open up your like horizons as a DM too. That was one of the things I learned when I started DMing other games. And so like, I never do this kind of thing. I never have this. I never run an adventure like this, and I run it in the Empire or Shadowrun or whatever. Like, it's a great way, I think, to give yourself new ideas.
Yeah. Questions, I guess. Well, Christian, why do you hate elves so much?
It's not so much that I hate elves. It's just that
You're racist.
I am racist.
Racist.
But aside from that, it's like there's always like those one or two people that are always an elf. You rarely ever see that for like the dwarf or the halfling or the gnome, and it's just like, oh, it's the elf guy again. Or like the one time I sat down and the party had made nothing but elves, but this wasn't like they didn't get together and decide let's all be elves. It was just like we're all here and we're all elves. What the?
Yeah.
Is there like okay, we were half elf, but you still don't care. You're still freaking elf, you know?
Yeah.
It's just trope, I guess, isn't it? We could title
I think
it.
I'm thinking like resentful of elves because of how much like screen time they get in Tolkien. The dwarves just kind of like brushed to the
Yeah.
side, like whatever. Dwarves, no one cares. I'm like, the dwarves have interesting things going on.
We ride.
Is it also the fact that elves are generally played aloof and
Yeah,
annoying?
right.
Yeah.
It's
They
like,
think they're better than you. Yeah.
fuck off you. Yeah.
I actually hate them just because I'm allowed to hate them because they're a fantastical race. So
Yeah,
I
that's
can
true.
be prejudiced to something
Not
that doesn't
offending
exist.
anyone. Yeah.
So.
I want to see the guy that makes like
All
the
your
fat,
race
obese
stuff.
elf who, has got like a constitution of 18, and he's just like, all right, guys, let's go in here and let's just take them out. And he's like,
I think I smell InsomniacsInk's new new character in our next 24 hour
There we
game.
go. Be a barbarian elf who.
Defines all the
It's going to
stereotypes.
be the elven barbarian who is just this fat lard.
Yep.
Oh boy, we're running low on time.
Die.
I don't die.
Let's get through some quickfire questions. I do mean quickfire, so do not rant. I will shut you up if you do.
Awesome.
Looking at you, Courtney.
Yeah, no. I
As a returning player, new to D&D 5e, how'd you get over the initial apprehensiveness of putting yourself into a group of people that you don't know to play? Talk to them beforehand, make sure they're nice people, then go for it and see what happens. You might have a bad experience, but don't let that pull you down, because you're going to meet douchebags in life probably, but most of the people that play D&D, for the most part, I'd like to say are nice people.
Unless they play.
Let's play an elf, in which case, do not play.
Trigger warning. Don't fail.
Yeah. Tim, meeting a new group of people for the first time, you're apprehensive. How'd you get over that? Alcohol?
Thankfully, with you guys, I could watch all your streams. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they invited us, let's do it, let's check it out. And I'm like, oh, you have this wonderful tool, you can watch the entire thing. I'm running a lot of games right now where I'm just meeting new people because I just moved to Seattle. So I haven't, like, we're going to a lot of game shops and just like, hey, I don't know you, let's play. And it's just meeting them out and trying to find the people that really play the same way you want to play. And you just got to kind of grin and bear it. It's tough, it's awkward, but you got to do it. Yeah.
Cool. Quickly, Rem.
Wait. Mr. Angry Carver, thank you so much for the follow. You are a gentleman and a scholar, giving us 11 more until our next viewer vote.
What you do is you show up with your 3 rule books, slam them down, and say, "All right, you high schoolers, I know none of y'all have these. Challenge me on these rules," and then establish yourself as a dungeon master.
Just put them in their place immediately. Yeah.
That's right.
Nice.
What is your best tip for other DMs that makes a difference for you in having a good game session? Is there any one definable thing which makes a DM good?
Yes, and that's all I'm gonna say. No, yes, and is a great tool improvers use to, and ad-libbers do to, and actors as well, to move a story along and say yes to an offer. And as a DM, you must do the same thing, or else it's not going to be fun. You don't want to bog down what someone's offering. It's just going to make the game not fun for them. So yes, and if it's something you don't like, yes, and, or yes, but this is going to happen. So you want to definitely try to say yes to everything you can. That really helps a lot.
That nailed it for me.
Yeah, that kind of like my buddy Brandon, when he plays, he's always, "Can I do this? Can I do this?" And I always say, "You can do anything you want." And I give him this like look that kind of makes him like very apprehensive what it was he wanted to do, because it could anything. If you do whatever you want, you can kill this person if you want to. You can, Brandon. Do you want to? And at the same time, I feel like it's also neat to let your players maybe add more to the world than just the characters they've created. Like let them describe how they take the guy out. Or like I saw Will Wheaton do in that new game he made, is he'll do something like, so they're touring like a little museum, and he says, you come across this neat little exhibit. What do you see?
Yeah.
He lets them determine what the exhibit is, and he maybe runs that into, if there's a fight, he makes that thing come to life and whatever. But
Cool. Hannah asks, Will, did you get a Snapchat? Well, I haven't. I'll look into it. I can't really bothered with Snapchat. Sydney's been trying to
all day.
The thing is,
hasn't he? Yeah.
Sydney's been trying to convince me to get it for 2 months exactly now. So I feel like I'd be remiss just to suddenly turn around and be like, well, Hannah told me to get a Snapchat. She's pissed.
I downloaded it and then sent like 2 snaps, and I was like, "This is dumb." And
I was like, I'm just gonna text, and I don't even text. So
I'm gonna send us a picture.
I'm just gonna email.
Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one more.
All right,
app to
Quintus. See you soon, dude. I'm now trying to figure out if Will is stroking his facial hair in recognition or just because he can. I don't know, mate. I've a very much lack of sleep. It just happens. Someone said earlier, when Will's a player, he strokes his beard 40% more, and I think that's true.
Kind of
Interesting.
stressing. Are we gonna die? Are we gonna die? Are we gonna die?
Oh my god, we're 2 minutes away. Like 1 minute away.
So close.
Oh my god, 1
So
minute.
close, you guys.
Okay, quickly. Favorite way you've ever killed a player, Rem?
I killed Jacob Peavy's monk, because they had finished beating up the boss. There was a villainous white dragonborn bard who was tricking them to go grab the big artifact because he was going to steal it from them. Peevy's character and this other girl walked out. The other girl got blinded. Peevy didn't quite get blinded. Their treasure got stolen. He chased it down, and there was like this great big duel where Peevy's character finally got like beat at the very end. He had just rolled death saves out in the open, and he ended up dying. It was intense because that was the first time I killed any players with my group,
Yeah.
and there was just like that, like he killed
God, he
somebody.
did it.
It said, "Yeah, I did. I killed. I seen it.
You
Killed it."
did.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And that brings us 24 hours. We have made it.
Yeah.
Nailed it, boys.
Woo!
Congrats, guys. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Nailed.
thank you. That
Nailed.
Number 3.
feels good.
Wow.
That is success 3.
Ah.
We've done 3 of these so far. That's 72
job,
hours
boys.
of D&D.
Yeah, wow. Fucking hell, yeah.
No, it's not.
Oh, bad.
I fucked that up, didn't I?
That's
Yeah.
maths. I don't know.
Nah,
I
too
looked
late
at
for me to
my
care.
I looked at my roll 20, like how long you've been in games. It's like 700 hours or something. Like,
Jesus Christ.
oh, they shouldn't make that quantifiable. I don't
No,
like.
yeah.
Thank you everyone that's coming on so much. Thank you everyone who's been involved today. Let's go around and let's do the list of shout outs
Do you want
to everyone
do you
who's
want to freestyle at this time like you did last time?
Yeah, I will, but I'm going to quickly go thank everyone who played in the games or came along and guested. If you haven't yet followed, do, because I'm going to freestyle out your names in a second. But thank you to all my viewers who came into my viewer game in the morning. That was a lot of fun. And thank you to NixEris42, as ever, our moderator, and for running that wonderful game with myself and Rem and Aiden earlier. Thank you to Saving Throw Show for the wonderful game. It was a lot of fun playing with those guys. You guys should check them out if you haven't already. Thank you to Finbar from Math and TV and all the people from there who's come over for this Blaze in the Dark game. That was a lot of fun and a lot of explosions. That was good. Thank you, of course, to Timothy and Kate and Kevin from XP web series. If you guys haven't, for some bizarre reason, check them out. Yeah.
Please
You've
do.
been here all
We're
day. Yeah, go over there.
I've
Follow
been
them.
with Timothy for 9 hours now.
9 hours.
Wow.
We just met. Best friends.
That's forever.
Besties for life. Thanks to Mitch and to Linear.net and to Ratchsphere for coming along to the expedition to Cakler. Definitely called Cakler. Yep, Cakler. Lots of Cakler. And a huge shout out to TGM for his late night slot running with Henley and Quintus J. Those guys had a great game. From what I caught like last 20 minutes.
Yeah,
of
it was a
it.
lot of fun.
And of course, thanks to Rem and Timothy again for coming to the Tavern Talk tonight. Now let us go through. Thank you, Parking Silver host. Bit late now, buddy, but better late than never, am I right? So let's go through everyone who has followed today. Let's scroll all the way down. Okay, so anyone wants to lay down a beat, you're welcome to. Okay. Thank you, Alahan, Alpha, Mickey, Rafi, Gold, Good for You, Darian, Sweater, Moft, Swiffy, Fripp, Frop, Parking Field, Ferdinand, Foxhound, Brewster 9, Arrow, Juck, Life to Game, XP Web Series, S Guide, K Tree, Wood Boys, Tabletop Gamer, D, Rage, Driven Mad, Stone Shell, Murday, K-Hero, That Guy, Azots, Gluttony X, Sivers, Fatal Black, Isla Man, Fig Muffin, Morbid Fascination, Jalf Breezy Cat, Belnef, German Rocker TV, High End Coyote, Aiden Davey Odie,
There you go.
Free Cubed, Jura Animal Pizza, Bad Company 17, Worry Coop, Swarton 70, I Am Keithers, Strohs Fisher, Okie Poke 2, Dumble Blue Kills, Rhiney, Curse, Kevbot RL, Antihero V, Wolfstan, CNF Bear, Emiras, Arnheim, Nebu Luta.
That's
Nate
not all of it, right?
Fox,
There's more.
Black's Bread.
Oh, there's more.
Gotta keep going. Crimson Phoenix, Patsvan 245, Smile 2000, Sky Dian, Bobster Gaming, Son for J, Xerox, Kriggin, Prince Shadow Man, TDM, Ray Music RTIC, Demigods D Drunk Tanker, Creator Max, Laser Tie, Quentin J, Alice C, Dark Moon, AAA, Corey Joan, and Mr. Angry Carver. Thank you guys so much.
There it is.
Gotta catch him
I
all.
think we
Yeah, I was
nailed it.
gonna say it's distinctly Pokemon.
Pokemon
rap.
rap. It's the Pokemon rap. That's what it reminds me
Yeah,
of.
that's exactly what it was.
Yep.
You all are
Oh.
Pokemon. We will get you all.
I'm gonna catch up.
Oh wow, that was. I
Oh.
thought that was gonna be easy, but it
I think
wasn't
you're
that
right.
either. How many people is that? Let's count them.
I wasn't counting, God, believe it or not. I wasn't counting.
How many
Something like 70 or 80 people played.
Oh wow, that's
Nice.
great.
Huge load of new people following. Great to see you guys. Great to have everyone here. Not too long until we're at 1,000, which is pretty.
Yeah, we'll probably hit it this week,
Scary.
which is really cool. That is awesome, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody.
Any last words? Just go around, say some last things. So, Rem, any last words?
I'd say be on the lookout. I really want to write some sort of story or novel called Joe of House Joe, which chronicles the tales of a regular little peasant who just gets caught up in so many things.
He gets the things he does not want to be in.
Joe of House Joe.
Nice.
Joe remembers. Hashtag.
Tim, for experience points.
Yeah, check us out.
Just remind you where you're from.
Experience Towards web series. Check it out. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We have all kinds of stuff coming out. The main series comes out in 2016. Thanks so much, Encounter Roleplay, for inviting us. We had a blast. Love to do it again.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely. I can't do anything. Yeah, we'll probably. Well, I mean, we'll definitely be doing one again next month.
Yep.
This will certainly be
know.
happening. It's yeah, we could. I think we've pretty much, me and Cord, we've basically committed to wanting to do this because they're so much fun. And
They're a lot of fun, and it's good to get the community.
yeah,
together.
yeah, it's super nice to see everyone here. The amount of hosting has been amazing from people. It's been really nice to see everyone coming together, playing some
In one
D&D.
chat and
All in one
introducing
chat,
each
yeah.
others and
It's
being
not-
friends. Yeah,
it's
not
not often
a
you see it,
competition. Yeah.
Yeah, and gonna make a point to host more people in the future as we've been doing the last couple of streams, just to send people their way and stuff. It's been great to see everyone. I don't know how to end this. It's just so big. It just feels like it can never end.
I know.
So-
Thank you so much, everybody in chat. Thank you, Will, for having me a part of this. I love doing this. I love playing. I love being a manager on this as well, or a producer on this. And just thank you. It's so much fun. I'm so glad we connected 6 months ago, and you gave me that
That's
like on my Twitch, and I was like, oh, this kid just got in touch with me. This is gonna be cool. But yeah, thank you. It's a lot of fun. I'm glad I got to play with you, and I'm glad I stuck with it. And even convincing my fiance that I must stay up. I must stay up because it's for
I must do it.
it's for my friends in England. But yes,
Represent.
so. But yeah, thanks so
Awesome.
much for the opportunity, and everybody in chat.
Yeah.
You guys are so awesome. Thanks for hanging
Yeah,
out. Thanks for chatting.
donations. Just fucking go and shout out to donations as well, because we do appreciate those. Let me find those real quick for you guys.
Sure.
Let's have a look. There's been fucking loads. Brighting Unicorn, Sue, the Drunk Tanker, Ratchesphere, fucking loads from Ratchesphere, Scarred Star, InsomniacsInk, Rem. Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
Jamie ejected me from Math and TV. Not Zolanora, definitely not Zolan. Jeren Ryoven, thank you guys for your donations. It's amazing that we are going to go to Comic Con next year, which is going to be super exciting. We're going to, oh, that's going to be a lot of fun. And so yeah, thank you guys for making the dream happen. And of course, just to wrap things up, I guess, just to warn you guys, try not to stream D&D for 24 hours and go insane. Try not to get a couple of hours sleep in between playing more D&D. Try not to, I guess, how many people died today? A lot of people died today. Try not to blow one another up. Try not to go
Bears.
insane trying to find a river of gold, an island of gold. Try not to get murdered by a bear. Try not to adopt a bizarre Scottish halfling because it's weird.
Most importantly, try not to play an elf. You can
Yeah.
avoid it. Really, that's rule number one.
Yeah,
That's-
rule number
If
one.
you could take anything away from this DM's Tavern.
Just go to half elf
25.
to like get used to it a little bit. Then
Yeah.
you can go.
Never go full elf.
Never go full elf. We're going to be back during the week, as always, on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Monday, we're going to be playing Numenera. Wednesday, we're going to be playing Out of the Abyss 5e. Thursday, we're going to play more 5e viewer games. If you want to get involved with that, exclamation point play, you can. So we're here at 4 p.m. EST, same time every week for 3 hours. 9 hours of D&D every week, as well as Saturday streams occasionally. No Saturday stream this coming week, but we've had 24 hours today, so look out next month for the next 24-hour stream. And until next time, guys, try not to roll too many nat ones because we want to be here laughing when you do. Until then, we'll let you up the dungeon tomorrow when we stream again. Until then, adios.
Thank you, everybody.